My son won't suffer any grievances for. In other words, the bratty kid must slap himself until he's satisfied. Otherwise, the matter won't be put to rest. After all, not even Bai Yin would dare lay a hand on the steam bun when he made a blunder. Why should some random fool be allowed to do so? It would be on Di Song's head if he let this issue go unpunished. Mom, I don't want to WHHH. I don't want to slap myself. I don't want to. The bratty kid sobs continuously, regretting fully oncoming today. Of course, the boy still doesn't believe he's in the wrong, just that he shouldn't have done what he did in this manner and went for another solution. Water Mei was a mother, and as a mother, there's no way she wouldn't want to save her own boy. Unfortunately for her, though, the second she cast her eyes upward to meet Di Song's cold gaze again, her courage crumbled without fault. Lin, be good. Do what your second uncle tells you. Do it now. This man is too cruel. It's just a fight between kids, and he's going this far. What is he going to do if I refuse right now? Will he kill me? He wouldn't, right? The order from his own mother only brought even more tears to the bratty kid, making him cry louder and louder, gritting those teeth to steel her heart at the disobedience. Lin, if you don't listen, then I will leave you in the beggar's den. Then you will be a beggar's child. In this instant, this very second, the bratty kid actually stopped crying, only looking up in disbelief over the very mother that's always been doting and loving to himself. Despite his own grievances, this child also knows his mother would always keep to her words when said, I'll hit. Flushing red in the eye, the boy kneels down to the ground and slaps himself in the face. Against this sight, Water Mei definitely felt the stinging pain as well. She's bleeding inside over what she's ordered. Sadly, as much as she would like to put a stop to this, the threatening gaze from Di Song left her too helpless and weak. Since you and your husband don't know how to educate your child, then I will. He will learn today on what can be said and what can't be said. In Di Song's view, his behavior right now wasn't cruel in the slightest. In fact, he's thinking he's already being quite merciful in lecturing someone else's child. After all, he's the great demon king. Such transgressions would have long warranted the death penalty in the other world, let alone a few slaps. Seko's second. Originally Water Mei wanted to plea again after that comment, but the death glare in the next left her too fearful for words. It's a known fact that the man across from herself didn't like others addressing him as family, only as Lord in the formal title. Apparently, she didn't quite remember that tidbit until this instant, and kept crossing the line with Di Song. He's only a child. You wanted to say that, didn't you? Di Song then continues to speak in a manner like someone that's able to read minds. But he did. That means others were uttering such things around him. As his mother, you're just as guilty. You think I will let this pass so easily after you gossip behind my back about my wife and child? This time Water Mei could no longer keep her wits together, plodding to the ground into a prostrating posture. Lo Lord, please spare me, no matter what I still bear to child for the Water Clan. Say what you will, but there are prices to be paid for your loose tongue. Still expressionless and cold as ever, Di Song's attitude never wavers when dishing out punishment. Someone come, drag this woman and Water Longyun out of the estate. I'm declaring they are no longer part of the Water Clan as of this instant. Gawking her eyes out in horror and disbelief, Water Mei almost fainted in that second. She thought at the very most he would beat her or something along those lines, not directly banish them from the family. Her husband's the younger brother of this man. Why, Lord, why are you so cruel? She asked with that shaky voice. Because my wife is coming back, so I need to eliminate all the disharmonious voices of the Water Clan. These slurs and gossips will pollute her ear. Boom! The woman's brain exploded into nothingness, not being able to comprehend the gravity of that statement. He said his wife is coming back. That's why he's banishing me and my husband? It's so our words won't contaminate her ear? How can he go to such extent for a woman? By Yi's recovery, Water Mei always thought she knew enough about the old Di Song to understand him, but it's until this moment does she realize how foolish she's been. This person, this individual whom she tried to pursue for many years, He's an absolute enigma. Lord, making a bittersweet smile, the beauty slowly pulls herself up from the ground to speak in compliance. I understand now. I will go and clean up my things and leave this place. After saying that, she turned and left without struggle, giving off a frail and unsteady feeling of hopelessness. Make no mistake, it's not like Water. Mei didn't want to protest and complain. Contrary, she's too smart for that. If the lady had continued to linger and offend the man some more, who knows what might happen by then. Moreover, her husband was the third son of the current house chief. That means Water Longyin would always remain a son of the Water clan. Even if they couldn't remain here for now, it's without a doubt they would return someday once the heat dies down. Retracting his gaze from the woman now that he's done, Ditsong shifts his attention to the boy next to himself. Xiaochen, go find your mother now. She should be somewhere in the capital city of this country. I'll go call someone to guide you. Immediately lighting up from his upset little face, Bai Xiaochen needed no better news than to find Bai Yin. Smiling brightly at the suggestion. Then, Batty Father, when will you come find us? I'll be there as soon as I can. Slightly sinking in his eyes, Ditsong didn't have confidence in when, so he only said soon. At that, the steam bun didn't ask for more details and instead brought up his own thoughts. Papa, you have to make these people take care of the big doggy and big orange cat. They're my only friends here in this place. Okay. Grinning at his boy's request, due to being addressed properly, Ditsong went ahead to ruffle that hair before turning to a middle-aged attendant nearby. You take him to the capital. His order is your utmost priority from here on forward, and if anything happens to him, then you can forget about returning to the Water Clan. My son doesn't need to, nor will he suffer any grievances in this world. The middle-aged attendant got white after hearing that order. Despite his own woes at the consequences, he didn't forget what happened to Water Mei mere seconds ago and hurried to bow his head. Yes, Lord. As wrong as the bratty kid was in coming today for troublemaking, he's not entirely alone in this matter. None of these people from the Water Clan took the steam bun seriously, one being the unknown birth mother that they never met. They didn't have a clue about her background, second being how little appearance the little boy made before the public's eye. If the young lord himself didn't show his son around then, why should they take the child seriously? Nevertheless, after today's incident, and of how even the third young master has been expelled from the clan, no one here would ever have that thought again. Back over in the one clan, when Fei, stepsister, was currently sitting atop of her own bed and allowing those spirit particles to infuse into her pores. She wants to verify whether or not Bai Yin was lying to her and has been hard at work. Regarding the method of cultivation on Earth and the other world, they're mostly the same by absorbing the spirit particles in the air. However, Earth only utilizes this power in their martial arts by covering their body in a thin layer like an armament, while the other world had a better understanding of this force and could manipulate it to their will by changing its form and use. Also, unlike the other world where power reigns supreme, the spirit particles on Earth could only be described as lacking. For example, those who manages to reach the monarch rank are far and in between on these lands. Like the Water Clan here, their founding ancestor still lives today and had reached the monarch rank due to the support of Black Turtle. But even the old fella could only sit at the monarch rank and not move an inch further. By Yi's recovery, too, not needing to wait for long, when Fei soon felt a surge of strength rushing out from within her abdomen. With a bang, she breaks through her bottleneck in a flurry of air gushing out of her pores. If it had been in the past, then the lass would be ecstatic after making such quick progress. However, there's only shock and panic left in those eyes right now as the words of her hated stepsister returned again. Bai Yin is right. My talent for cultivation has really gone up. Then does that mean, at the strike of noon, I will suffer unbearable pain day in and day out? Donk, donk, donk. It's then a series of door knocks catches her attention, startling the lass and bringing her back to reality. Hurrying to compose herself so others wouldn't notice the oddity in her expression. Come in. Stepping in was none other than Winshan, the lass's father. Based on the level of love showing in the man's eye, it's clear he's thrown all of the mishaps of today's event out the window. Fei, did you just make a breakthrough? I felt the surge of energy in the air just now and wanted to come check. Stiffly nodding as confirmation, the girl forces the panic back down and makes a smile. Ha ha ha! When Sean didn't notice the oddity and grew elated, laughing aloud for all to hear. Patting his daughter's shoulder, "My Fei is wonderful, you really are. I did not expect you to make a breakthrough this quickly after your last, but you did, and that brings me great joy knowing you are my daughter." Brother Shun. Chai Moon also follows closely from behind after sensing the change in the air as well. Even if my Fei's talent is higher, it will still not compare to Yinner's. I speculate she's already grown to heights we can only imagine. At the mention of his unfilial older daughter, Wen Shan's expression promptly turned ugly because he didn't want to remember. Enough Mooner, no one is allowed to mention that unfilial girl in this house again. She even wants to kill me, his own father. That girl is no daughter of mine, and I will not recognize her as such anymore. Chai Moon appears to want to speak again after that outburst, but after moving those lips a bit and stammering some more, she said nothing in the end and left it at that. Then that's when it happened during their conversation, a ringing gong of the old clock downstairs in the living room. Immediately, when Fei's complexion turned ghastly white as her body trembled profusely, sweat rolling down her forehead like she's just came out of a pool. Fei. Chai Moon was the first to notice the change and cried out in haste. "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" Although she had previously asked when Fei on what Bai Yin fed her, but due to the fear of the consequences of others knowing, the lass in question didn't tell her own mother and kept a secret. "It hurts." Clenching her fist, the girl throws herself on the bed and began rolling around. "Pom, it hurts. It really hurts." That pain could only be described as someone throwing her onto a grinding plate and then mashing her bones to powder. It's tearing her mind apart and sucking the air out of the lung. Fei. Chai Moon screamed at the terrible sight and attempts to help. "What's wrong? What's wrong with you? Why is this happening?" "Bai Yin, she fed me poison. She said that at the strike of noon, I will become like this from now on. It hurts, Ma. It hurts. Please kill me, kill me." Even until the end, she didn't want to reveal the secret to her pain. That's how much this current lifestyle meant for Wen Fei. But then again, it couldn't be helped. The lass understand her own father very well. If it becomes known that only by destroying her Dantian could she be relieved from such pain, then this man would definitely abandon them. Afterwards, the riches of life would be a fleeting memory, and they would return to the life of a beggar. Fei. When Sean also steps forward and wanted to help his daughter up from the bed, but when he saw the twisted face his daughter made, those hands instinctively faltered and retracted away. "Are you sure it was Bai Yin who did it?" By E's recovery, 3. Brother Sean. Chai Moon wept uncontrollably and started to beg her husband. "Did you forget? Bai Yin force-fed Fei a pill before she left. That must have poisoned. I've done my best to be good to her. Yet why is she doing this to my Fei?" That said, the woman gradually took to the ground as she continued to weep. She's a mother, and as a mother, there's no way she wouldn't feel the much pain despite her foul nature. If there's any fault, then it's my fault. Fei is innocent. She couldn't have chosen her own birth. It's all because of my mistake that she has to suffer. Brother Sean, please help her. Please save our Fei. That was a sound argument from Chai Moon's mouth. However, the woman apparently forgot the sort of harsh treatment when Fei dished out to Bai E, who was also innocent in the whole story. Also, he ignored the fact that it's these two who stole Bai Yan's belonging and caused her to lash out. Otherwise, this incident wouldn't occur in the first place. Being the gullible him, when Sean didn't put too much thought into those words and simply accepted it as fact. Fei is indeed innocent. She can't choose her own birth, nor is Yinner qualified to hurt her. But Yinner said it before, "If I go bother her, then she'll kill me," her own father. In that second, Chai Moon's heart could only be described as cold and disappointed. In particular was how cowardly her husband was acting even when it's about saving their own daughter. It's giving her the shivers because she suddenly recalled back to how this man abandoned Bai Yu, which allowed herself to take over this home. Brother Sean, pulling herself up, The woman suddenly stopped weeping and showed a bittersweet smile as she spoke. "We may not be able to get Bai Yin to yield, but don't forget, in this city there's still a Bai Ran." Frowning at the name, Winshan didn't quite get what his wife was getting at, but let her continue anyways. Bai Ran married General Ling, Kai Yuan's son. If the public finds out her niece did such inhumane things, then it will certainly impact the old general's name. The Ling family won't let that happen, which is why we need to force Bai Ran into helping us get that antidote. Gently closing her eyes, Chai Moon began to sob again to push her plot. "Brother Shan, Ling Kaiyuan is a credit to the country, and I respect him for that, but I don't know what else to do as a frail woman. I'm a mother. Seeing my daughter suffer is unbearable for me. Besides, you don't want to lose a talented daughter, do you?" He didn't feel moved at the sobbing from his wife. He didn't feel moved at the sight of his daughter's suffering. But this coward did feel moved once the topic of a talented daughter got brought up. It's true, he doesn't want to lose this daughter who had caught the eye of his old man, who was the current chief of the one clan. "I'll try as much as I can. If Bai Ran is not willing, then there's no other way. After all, she's still Yuer's younger sister." Acting all submissive after getting her way, the woman deliberately lowers her face to hide that smirking grin. "If that's your wish, Brother Shan, I won't object to your decision." At the same time, somewhere not too far away, he had just gotten herself settled inside a hotel room when her mind started wander off in recounting today's various events. It's like a dream to this girl who's been poorly treated by others so far in life. Sister Bai Yin is really back. I don't have to live in the basement anymore. Thinking up to here, Bai Yi's heart would feel all sweet and melty like being smothered in honey. The only demerit from all this would be the fact that Bai Yin said she couldn't take her along, but that's too far ahead for this girl to think about right now. Donk donk, exactly, then a knock from the door catches her attention, causing the girl to rush over to the doorway where a dazzling female stood. "Sister Bai Yin," she exclaims, wowed by how beautiful Bai Yin has become after some rest and cleaning. "Take this." Bai Yin didn't mind the overreaction from her foster sister and handed a pill over. Bai Yi's recovery, for, taken aback by the gift in her hand, Bai Yi nearly drops it before catching it after a fumble. "This is Dan Pill. It will allow you to cultivate your internal Dantian again." The reason why Bai Yin did not stay in the same room as her foster sister was because she's busy making this pill. Preparations must be made, and she doesn't have all that much time. Boom! The sound of explosion rocked the young lass's brain, her eyes falling into a daze of incredulous disbelief. "Sister Bai Yin, you don't need to comfort me. I know my Dantian is already destroyed. There's no way to cultivate anymore. Others can't let you anymore, but that doesn't mean I can't." Smiling to stir her sister's mood, Bai Yin reaches over to hold those hands as reassurance. "I said it already. Before I leave, I will make sure this place is safe for you to live. This pill is one of the things to help improve your strength. While I'm here for the next short while, I will oversee your entire training progress." Despite the comfort, Bai Yi still had the dull look of someone that couldn't take in reality. "Can I really practice martial arts, cultivate my Dantian again?" It's not like this girl always had such negative outlooks in life, but ever since her life got turned upside from her Fu perishing one day, then her Dantian being ruined by Wen Fei's cruelty, this orphan lass had no one else to turn to. Imagine living a life on such an unstable path after being left on the streets. The amount of hardship would be something most wouldn't ever experience, let alone understand. Using this uncertain mindset, Bai Yi stiffly went towards the bed. She intends to do as told and practice again after consuming the pill, but things take time, and this time would be for the whole night. Next morning, without deviating from the expected plan, the lass's shattered Dantian had started to show signs of recovery. She could feel it. Unfortunately, the progress she made in the past didn't return and would require it all to be redone in strides. But that's not an issue at all, does it? The important bit was there's hope again. Looking out the window, Bai Yi once again regained the lost energy that she once held in the past. She's rejuvenated. "It looks like your Dantian is starting to recover." It's then Bai Yan's voice drifted over. Elated by the voice, the lass swings her head around to meet those familiar eyes Sister Bai. How did you get in here without me opening the door? Chuckling at the silliness of that question. You didn't close your door properly last night, so how do you think I got in here? Oh, scratching the back of her head in embarrassment, but he also starts to chuckle like she used to as a child. I guess my old habits are still there. I forgot to close my room like I used to. Sister Bai, I'm not dreaming, right? I can really practice martial art and cultivate again. If it's a dream, then I would rather not wake up again. Aching in the heart again, Bai didn't need any more hint on the sort of hardship her immaturity had brought upon this foster sister of hers. Quickly nodding so she wouldn't get any strange thoughts. Of course, when did I ever lie to you? Sniffling in the nose like she's about to cry now, Bai couldn't hold back her emotions anymore. Sister Bai, I can't even begin to describe what I'm feeling right now. When Shifu passed away and you were gone, I didn't have anyone left. Then when Fei destroyed my Dantian, I really wanted to jump into a river and end my life. I didn't have any hope, only struggling to live each day like a zombie, pausing to hold in her swelling tears. But I can see the light now. My Dantian has recovered. Not fully, but I can feel it mending. Even if I don't have all the strength I had in the past, I will work hard and not bring shame to Shifu again. I vow to avenge her with my all. 10 years ago, it was by you who adopted her and gave her courage to live. So, in this girl's heart, that woman was like a god, a goal she must pursue with her all. As for Bai, well, that lady's too outstanding to the point the younger sister here couldn't even imagine catching up. Saving a lowly one, Bai soon left the hotel after confirming Bai Yi's well-being. She had other things to do, however, she didn't make it far before being called out by someone from the back. Hey, beautiful, is it really you? The voice belongs to a handsome man who directly ran ahead to get in her way. Stopping in her step at recognizing who it was, Bai pricks her brow in amusement. You need something? Didn't you say you were going to come find me, oh beautiful? I waited all night, and you didn't come. Thank goodness I came searching and found you here. So how is it? Do you have a portrait of your son yet? Ling Lang's, her cousin, mouth carried the iconic smile that he so commonly used to seduce the other sex, showing how much he's trying to put on a good image here. Sure, the other side had a son already, and he doesn't know she's his cousin as well, but being the flirtatious playboy that he was, why shouldn't he go for her when there's no mention of husband? Heck, in this modern age, it's not uncommon to find a single mother at all. Not uncommon at all. Oh, Bai actually forgot about the portrait and found herself in a bind. Do you have a brush in your home? I could draw a portrait of him now. If this silly cousin of mine helps, then it will be easier to find Xiachen. Why not? Of course we can go to my home. I sent the jade to my grandfather last night, and he liked it a lot. Grinning in the face like a curious little wolf. I say, beautiful. I still haven't gotten your name yet. And where is your husband? I haven't seen anyone with you so far. My name is Bai. Smiling at the mention of her possessive husband, Bai's happiness couldn't be hidden. He is, my husband is not of this world. Oblivious to how misleading her own sentence was there, Bai only meant it as Deetsong being in the celestial realm right now and not on Earth. However, that sentence had an entirely different meaning for Ling Lang's ear, who immediately perked up. So her husband's dead? It's not easy for a woman to raise a child on her own. No wonder she's struggling to find her son. Thinking of this, the playboy's gaze towards Bai now had a hint of pity. Forgive me, Ms. Bai, I shouldn't have mentioned your husband without knowing better. As for your son, I will try my best to help you find him. Nodding at that, the lady here didn't think much else of her cousin's kind words. She and him are relatives, so why would blood-related family have that kind of thought towards each other? Unfortunately for this woman, though, she apparently forgot Ling Lang doesn't know they are cousins and kept thinking of her as an outsider. Nothing much happened during the following drive towards the man's home, or at least in the beginning. Bai was sitting in the passenger seat to rest herself while occasionally nodding to Ling Lang's constant yapping. Then it occurred, a swirling sports car that came out of nowhere on the road in front of them. Out of reflex, Ling Lang twisted the wheel and hit the brake as hard as he could. Unfortunately for the poor guy, it's too late, and by the time he realizes it, the car had rammed into a nearby pole. Fuck! Who is driving that car? Do they know how to drive? Jumping out of the vehicle despite the trickling blood down his forehead due to him hitting the windshield, Ling Lang lashes out with vigor in his voice. Saving a lowly, too. Infuriated and in the heat of the moment, Ling Lang didn't think much of the incident and began to dial the number of the police using his cell. However, his hand soon stopped when he realizes the sports car ahead wasn't stopping and appeared to be losing control, crashing into anything in its way. Specifically, the little girl that's around years old staring cluelessly at the incoming vehicle. She's in a daze due to how sudden it's coming at her. Smile! There's fluster in the man's eye as he ran towards the child. Unfortunately, the distance between him and the child made it impossible for him to get in the way. In that moment, Ling Lang's entire world seems to come apart as his head exploded into a blank stupor. But then as all hope was lost, where everyone expected the lowly girl to be ruthlessly hit by the vehicle and die from the impact, something unexpected occurred. The car hit something all right. Not the little girl, though, something unmoving and hard, sending the car tumbling into the air and spinning like a wheel before crashing into another corner of the road. All had gone quiet then, leaving the street so silent that they could hear a pin drop. The reason? That's because in front of the lowly girl stood a woman, a young female wearing a red skirt and a tight blouse that emphasized her hips. Ling Lang didn't freeze like everyone else in this case, running over to the little lowly like he's seen salvation. Smile, how come you are here? Where's your bodyguard and babysitter? How come you are alone? Perhaps it's due to the danger finally passing and giving the lowly a chance to breath. But immediately after she came back to her senses, the child by the name of Smile promptly broke out into a cry. Big brother, I'm so scared. Hurrying to pull the girl into his arms like it would protect her some more, this playboy that gave off an aloof air began to caress that head to soothe the shock inside the child. It's okay, Smile. It's safe now, so don't be afraid. Tell me first, why are you here and alone? It was Annie Wu who took me out. Ling Smile answers honestly, her mood calming down as she wipes some of those tears. Then turning around to search for the mentioned person. Huh, where's Annie Wu? Ling Lang's face got very ugly. It doesn't take much for him to connect the dots on what's going on here and what that Annie Wu did today. But against the little lowly's frightened appearance, he could only hold it in and keep that fury for another time. This is a setup. I need to tell Grandpa right away. Bai Yin, I have to thank you. The man turns to the girl's savior with a look of great gratitude. She is my little sister. Her name is Ling Smile. Thank goodness she is here, otherwise I don't even want to think about the consequences. But then once he regained his composure and recalled the incredible sight of Bai Yin stepping in front of the car with one hand outstretched, his eyes would instinctively narrow in. This woman, she's a martial cultivator? Ling Lang may not be a cultivator, but he's heard enough from his mother Bai Yu about the world of martial artists. Most of those known to the public are nothing more than average with big muscles to show off their brute strength. However, there are gems among the mundane, like breaking rocks and bending steel with their bare hands, and some could even use their internal energy as armaments like real weapons. Why did you just do that? Bai Yin didn't show the same smiling face as her cousin, though. Her expression carried the stern look of a lecturing teacher. Do you know how dangerous it is if the other side intended for that? You would be dead if they wished to harm you. Hanging his head, the man understood what she meant. I know. They are aiming for Smile and my family. Bai Yin, you are a kind woman to tell me that. Anyways, that's my family's business, and we will handle it accordingly. My home is nearby, so we can walk the rest of the way. Let me make a call first, though. I need to get a tow truck here to pull my car. As unhappy as Bai Yin was at her cousin's carelessness, she also knew the fault didn't lie with these two who was victim of this attack. Then recalling back to the car, she swiftly turns her gaze to the driver's seat of the flipped vehicle. That car, there's no one driving it. A normal person would undoubtedly be freaked out by the lack of a driver. However, Bai Yin could tell someone was controlling it using some sort of ability. There's no way a malfunction would push a vehicle to that kind of speed. That's unreasonable and unrealistic. What are those in shadows planning? Are they aiming for the Ling family or just Ling Smile? Or perhaps they're aiming at them because of me? In this world on Earth, Bai Yin had no other family left aside from Bai Yi and her aunt Bai Ran. If someone intends to hurt her remaining family, then the gloves are coming off. Saving a lowly 3. The Ling family's estate was located in the military district reserved for members of the army. Due to Ling Lang bringing back a woman with him, the famously flirtatious playboy of the street, the quiet and peaceful district has now become a rowdy gossip ground that's constantly peeking out to meet this new lady. Smile! Before coming back, Ling Lang had already called his mother by Ran and explained the car accident, hence their reception by the beautiful madam at the door. Smile, you scared Mama here to death. The madam quickly runs over to throw herself at the little lowly. Thank goodness you are all right, otherwise I won't know what to do. Despite being still antsy from all this, Ling Smile nevertheless kept up a smile for her own mother. Mama, it was this big sister who saved me. Only then did Bai Yin notice Bai Yan's presence, and sure enough, the madam was wowed by that incredible face. She thought she had seen the most beautiful woman in this world thanks in part due to her older sister Bai Yu. But this lady brought home by his son was at a different level altogether. Girl, warmly reaching over to grasp Bai Yan's hand, I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Our Ling family owes you a great deal for saving Smile's life. Looking down at how warm she's being received, Bai Yan's lip couldn't help but smile at that, making her feel like at home again. Auntie, it's been a long time. To think your appearance hasn't changed at all. Bai Ran visibly looks taken aback. There's shock, but more were confusion in those eyes. You are, Auntie, I'm Bai Yin. Bai Yin was no stranger to Bai Ran here. They've met already during their younger years. Though it's not a lot, the relationship between this aunt and niece remains good even before everything that eventually occurred, thus making their reunion all the more special. Trembling in her lips at the recognition, the madam appeared almost lost for words. You are Yenna? You are really Yin. Annie, did you forget me already? When my mother brought me here the first time, cousin here was still wearing diapers. I could still remember Uncle beating him for wetting himself that day. Compared with the average little girls of her age back then, Bai Yin had exceptional memory due to her innate talent. It's also one of the reasons she excelled in alchemy and could produce those pills at such a young age. Tearing up in the eyes following that confirmation, Bai Ran's grasp around her niece's hand tightened up like she would lose this child if she lets go. Yin, where have you been all these years? You, Dad, and his new wife have already moved here in the capital, but when I went to find him, you were nowhere to be found. Is it because they won't let you stay with them? Regarding when Sean, her former brother-in-law, Bai Ran definitely held a strong level of grudge. One being how selfish the man was at heart, the second being the fact that he abandoned his wife at the critical moment and allowed the Bai clan to perish under the other two families' assault. Compared with the excitement of the madam here, Ling Lang didn't fare so well and wanted to faint. Bai Yin? Why does the name sound so familiar all of a sudden? Bai Yu's daughter. In an instant, his whole face collapsed into a despairing look of irony and self-mockery. He thought he had a chance. He thought her husband was gone. But this turnout, they're elated by blood. That wonderful picture of walking down the aisle just went out the window. Saving a lowly, for I wanted to avenge my mother. That's why I left the family, but I'm back now. Ever since she crossed over into the other world, Bai Yin never thought she would be able to get the chance for revenge on the ones who hurt her family here on Earth. To be able to have this opportunity was a blessing. You two are both very stubborn. I don't know if it's my older sister who passed it on to you, but leaving without a word is improper, you understand? too. She's just as stubborn. I wanted to help her, but because she was afraid of dragging me down, that child would repeatedly refuse my help and money. Big sis have always been the strong-headed one in the family. Father told her from the very beginning that when Sean wasn't a good man, not someone she could entrust her life to, but she insisted and married him anyways. In the end, that coward didn't even dare go collect her body after that event. What use is there for such a selfish man? But Bai Ran shifts her hand onto her niece's shoulder so their gaze would meet. Don't go thinking about revenge anymore. The backing those two clans have are not someone like you can handle. If you persist, then you will only throw your life away. I don't want my older sister's only blood to be lost as well. Although this city was very big due to it being the capital of this nation, there's only a limited number of places for individuals of high standing to visit. Therefore, it's not uncommon for Byran to run into her enemies from the two clans. It hurts for sure, seeing the ones who murdered her sister and parents, but without strength, this woman knew it's futile. A pebble trying to make a wave inside a lake, that's the predicament Byran has found herself in. What's more, she also has to think about her husband's side of the family. The Ling House may be one of the founding members of this nation, but the military wouldn't really move just because of a whim of one lady. There are many cogs inside this machinery, and those opposing her father-in-law, General Ling, would undoubtedly take the opportunity to poke and prod at him. Don't worry, Auntie. I have my own arrangements. Bai Yin saw the urgency in her aunt's eye and didn't want to worry her. She's here to take revenge regardless of what others say. However, that doesn't mean they needed to know her plans. A humph. Ling Ling finally came out of his depressed state after the initial shock. Mom, you don't have to keep nagging her. Let's first head inside and settle in. Me and cousin here still have something to talk about. Making a helpless smile at her son's behavior as she shook that head. What are you two going to discuss that your own mom can't hear? Oh, Bai Yan's son is missing. I'm going to be helping her look for him. An audible shattering of glass could be heard echoing in the madam's ear. Her mind literally exploded then and became a blank slate. Yin Yan, she married? And has a son? Yin Yan, you married? How old is the child? Byran couldn't hold back her inner woes and asked. He's 8 years old. 8 years old? Ling Lang's mouth twitched at the number. He knows Bai Yin has a son, but not 8 years old. Cousin, if I remember correctly, you're only 22 this year, right? Don't tell me you had a baby when you were 14. You're saying during the past 10 years where you were missing, you've been having a baby? You know getting married that young and having a child is illegal. Pricking her brow at this dunce of a cousin. Do you have opinion about it? Going by that look and expression, Ling Lang would immediately recall back to the powerful actions of this woman stopping a car with her bare hands. Shivering slightly, he promptly shook his head with those hands doing the same. Of course not, cousin, of course not. If you don't, then help me find my son first. Giggling at that silliness, Bai Yin didn't want to keep teasing the poor guy anymore and turned back to her aunt. Auntie, you don't have to worry about me. I have my own plans already. Anyways, I wanted to take care of Ian in my place, though. She's still at the hotel we're staying at right now. Oh, yes, of course. Byran almost didn't react in time and fumbled her reply. She's still lost in the idea of her niece carrying a baby at 14 years old. That's too much for her heart. This child, she must have suffered a lot after leaving home. Big Sis always protected her well. There must be a lot of pain involved that I don't know of. The sensational stir of Baishiachin's entry 1 airport. Coming out of the terminal was a delicate-looking steam bun. His casual clothes emphasized his handsome and lovely features and causing all those walking nearby to stare in amazement. Oh my God, is this kid a star or something? How can one look so handsome and cute? Did he eat something special to grow up like this? From time to time, someone would take out their phones and begin recording, uploading the video to their friends and blogs as well. Baishiachin had never been exposed to the customs of modern-day people from Earth. Thus, their actions are making him especially uncomfortable. However, he's not going to tell them off like he would in the other world since they're not doing anything hostile. That's a lesson he learned from Bai Yin. Only hurt those who hurt him, otherwise it's not right to harm others. Big Bear, do you have any news on where my mother is yet? He asked the big bodyguard that's behind himself. Twitching in the mouth over the way he's being addressed, the man tasked with guiding the boy makes a helpless face. Little master, your father only tasked me with bringing you to the capital. I don't know where your mother is. The main reason the boy kept calling this man using that nickname was due to how thick and tall he was. He's giving off the impression of a big grizzly bear. Coupling in with the fact that Baishiachin loves animals, it's only proper he address someone in his entourage as so. Of course, the poor bodyguard didn't like the name, but accepted it since his repeated attempts at correction fell on deaf ear. Oh, Baishiachin puckers his lips unhappily. With Mother's personality, I know she won't go to that one clan. In that case, I think we should go look for her on our own. Let's find a place to stay first. How about it, Big Bear? Yes, that's a wonderful idea, Little Master. Big Bear respectfully complies by agreeing. He couldn't ask for a better idea, honestly. Then let's go. Unbeknownst to the little guy, though, his images have already been posted across social media and gone viral, making him a small celebrity before he even made out of the airport. There are no shortages of good-looking kids in this world. However, finding one as delicate and handsome as him was a rarity. It drew millions of views online and roused a huge craze of search and investigation. Sadly, since this would be the first time he ever stepped foot into this world, no information ever came of the efforts. He's an enigma to these nosy people. Tion Clan. Following the ringing of a cell phone, Yu Snowing rubs her forehead and groggily answers it by pulling the device from under the pillow. Hello, big bro, what? The son of the young lord has come to the capital? All right, I understand. I will let my husband know. Don't worry, we will definitely seize this opportunity to please the child. Excitement could be visibly seen across the lady's face as she hung up the phone. Tion Wind, hurry and wake up. My big brother just said the little young master has come to our city. We need to hurry and find him. This opportunity won't come a second time if we miss it. Joy promptly filled the man's eye. This really is wonderful news. Let's do this. When we visit, we can bring our daughter along and let them meet. I know you don't want to force her into a marriage arrangement, so this is a good chance to let her have some time with that kid. This way it won't be so awkward if she does marry the child's father. The woman's face got very stiff then. She had no illusion about their daughter's unwillingness to becoming someone's stepmother, but what else was she supposed to do? It's not she could just tell her husband off when he's already stretching out an olive branch. The sensational stir of Baishatchin's entry, too, biting her lip in a tied manner. Husband, foreign is still a woman, having her go care for a child that, I think it's not a good idea. It might affect her reputation. Frowning now in the face due to his wife's indecision. What wrong with that idea? If you want our daughter to climb further than us, then we must do this. Also, the Water Clan have always been very low-key, and your older brother won't let us use his name here either. Because of that reasoning, no one actually knows he's the current housekeeper of that clan. Pausing to gather his words, so he doesn't mess it up, but if we can tie ourselves to the young lord of the Water Clan, then our future is secured. No one will ever dare challenge our family, nor do you have to worry about Foreign's future. Yu Snowing had to admit her husband's argument was winning her over. She's the younger sister of the Water Clan's housekeeper, yet no one knows that fact, nor does she dare give the details out. And, seeing there's still a hint of hesitation, the man quickly follows up with his final move. Didn't your brother tell us to grasp onto this opportunity? Don't you get what he means by that? Actually, this time around it's Tion Wind who's overthinking the meaning of that message. Yu Snowing's older brother only wanted them to keep Baishatchin happy and make sure he has a good time in the capital, nothing more and nothing less. After all, it's a well-known fact by now that Deetsung greatly cares for this son of his and that unknown future wife. Why would he go ask his own niece to poke into this relationship at a time like now? It's the same as throwing themselves into the fire pit for roasting. Still not fully convinced since her daughter's stubborn face won't stop coming up, but Foreign already stared she's not willing. Unwilling, Tion Wind snickers derisively. She's going to be the Water Clan's bride-to-be. What can she complain about? It's a blessing that most could only dream about. I don't care how you do, just get her to follow us to receive the little boy. She doesn't need to know why, just keep her in the dark. In the end, this woman could only give in. As much as she would like to discuss this some more, but she knows her husband here better than anyone. When he's like this, then there's no changing his mind. Whatever then, I won't get involved anymore. However, I still want our daughter to willingly agree to the marriage first. If she still refuses, then I'm not going to force her. I know Foreign's personality better than anyone. If we do force her, then she would rather die than submit. You're fretting too much. Foreign is my daughter too. How can I not care about her? Pleased by his wife's answer, Tion Wind got a lot better in the face as he spoke. Go call Foreign and get her ready. We will go find the little boy now. Okay. Nodding as told, the woman slowly got out of bed and went downstairs. As it turns out, the hotel where Bai Xiachen was staying happens to be the very same one Bai Yi was staying at. And towards the new and unknown, the boy would curiously touch and stare in amazement at the high-tech appliances surrounding himself. For example, the elevator that's able to carry him up and down caught his attention the most, like a child finding a novelty toy. The sensational stir of Bai Xiachen's entry. 3. Big Bear, why does this thing open the door on its own? And what's an ID card? Why is the crystal on the overhead so bright? And what was the bird we were sitting in? Don't one usually sit on top of a bird and not inside it? He only came to Earth for a few days, so there are many things Bai Xiachen still hasn't learned yet. Coupling the situation with Deith Song's inherent clinging to the old style of living, like using oil lamps and such, the boy never got much experience in the comforts of technology, thus his odd and strange questions. And regarding the plane they flew in, the steam bun here didn't particularly like it very much, especially when it came to the speed at which it flew at. He could have flown here on his own and at a much faster rate. This kid, is he mentally challenged? Unaware of his own remarks, though, those nearby who had heard it showed a look of surprise when staring at the boy. Or did he just come out of the mountains? How can he not know what an elevator and ceiling light is? Unlike the others, though, Big Bear seems to have already become accustomed to his ward's antics and continued to walk without emotion. He knows he's better off ignoring the voices of others in a situation like this. Suddenly, a mocking snicker came from the side of the elevator. Is a high-end hotel someplace any country bumpkin can come? You better get out of here before I call the manager. Originally, Bai Xiachen was still captivated by the novelty of the elevator in front of himself. But now his eyes have shifted entirely to the woman that's making a very displeased face. If one didn't know better, they might assume the boy did something heinous to her and caused a deep grudging hatred. If this wasn't Fei, then who else could it be? She's been in a very foul mood ever since yesterday's excruciating pain. Therefore, she had come today to threaten Bai Yi and demand the lass in helping her get the antidote from Bai Yin. However, instead of complying like this foul girl had imagined, the once soft-minded Bai Yi had gotten a backbone again and retaliated by yelling back. This infuriating Fei to the core, which in turn resulted in this outburst of the elevator. She's using Bai Xiachen as a venting hole. Are you scolding me? The boy asks with his iconic smile of innocent nature, the prelude to the downfall of all those who cross him. Snickering some more. If not you, then who else can I be scolding? A country bumpkin like you dare to stay in a fancy hotel? Don't you know the price of one night is equal to your whole village's income for a year? I have to wonder what the security guard are doing to let someone like you in here. Despite the foul words coming out of that mouth, the steam bun merely stared at the filthy girl, never once blinking like a curious child. What are you looking at? When Fei snaps again and flew into a deeper rage. You never seen a beauty before or something? Why are you staring at me like that? Oh, that, puckering his lips to one side. Mother told me I shouldn't talk to the mad dogs in the city. That's why I didn't say anything. I've always wondered what she meant, now I do. The sensational stir of Bai Xiachen's entry. For, since Bai Xiachen followed his mother around since he was a baby, the boy had seen a lot of pieces of work over the years. However, meeting one that's this special that would inexplicably rush over to cause trouble was a first. He had nothing to do with her, so it flabbergasted even him who's a known troublemaker. Growing irate after getting the boy calling her out, when Fei growled menacingly. You just scolded me by calling me a mad dog? I didn't scold you. I'm only calling you a mad dog because that's what you are. Is there a problem? Using his childish facade, Bai Xiachen's face makes it really hard for others to doubt his innocence. What's more, where's the issue with him being from the countryside, even if that's the case? Why should he be scolded by some random stranger when he did nothing? Miss, there's nothing wrong with what this child said. Why are you? An onlooker couldn't keep watching anymore and decides to speak up to help. However, that murderous glare instantly shuts the crowd up. Who do you people think you are to tell me what to do? What is wrong about what I just said? The money he has must be stolen. I'm going to call the police right now and get him jailed. Originally, Big Bear didn't want to interfere into this silly scuffle of verbs. But when he overheard the way when Fei Fei insulted not only the boy, but also his origin, then that's already past the line. Getting stern in the face. My young master here rarely goes out, so it's normal for him to not know these things. But when did a black diamond credit card become so common that anyone can just steal it? Visibly freezing in the face at the mention, the wench almost couldn't believe her own ears. Black diamond credit card? How can these country bumpkins have a black diamond credit card? What's going on here? It's then the manager of this establishment came running over due to the noise complaints. He's flustered in the face and wanted to get the situation under control due to how much of commotion it's causing in the lobby. Manager, the receptionist at the front desk, finally gathered her wits and spoke up nervously. Just now this little boy and his attendant used a black diamond credit card to check in, but Miss Wen here claims he stole it. When Fei Fei actually only said the boy stole money, not the card part. However, as we all know, words are easily twisted when landing on others' ear. Feeling the pressure of the situation, the manager hurries to wipe the sweat from his forehead to deliberate on the proper action of defusing the heat. This black diamond card, as if one can steal it? That's the first time I ever heard of such a thing. Miss Wen, maybe you don't know this, but a black diamond card is not something one can use even if they pick it up from the streets. So, that shouldn't be the case. His words acted like a slap across the foul girl's cheek, making her all red and indignant, glaring at the boy like a wild animal. If you have a black diamond card, then why didn't you say so earlier? Puckering his lips like an aggrieved child, Bai Xiaoqin's reply left many unable to doubt his sincerity. You didn't ask me, did you? If you didn't tell me, then I would have thought it was my bodyguard who stole it or something. Besides, how can you expect a little kid like me to know such things? Turning green from white, when Fei Fei's anger couldn't be withheld and exploded like a volcano at the gathered crowd who's snapping pictures left and right. You're not allowed to film me. All of you close your phones right now. Sadly for this wench, it's too late by this point. Someone had already videotaped the whole encounter and posted it online. I will remember this brat, sneering viciously in the face. You will quickly learn that money isn't the only factor that decides one's status. It's strength. Even if you have more money, there's going to be a moment where you trip over after crossing someone you shouldn't. The sensational stir of Bai Xiaoqin's entry 5, grinning along his cute little face. Auntie, you are so old already. Don't you know it's not proper manner to call someone else a brat? Moreover, my father told me no one can make me feel wronged while in this country. When Fei Fei's gaze grew hard and jarring as she got up close in order to slap him as punishment. Sadly for her, though, those legs didn't even make it 2 steps forward before being blocked off by the big bodyguard that exuded an aura of danger and dominance. This man, he's a martial artist, a real one, and from the looks of it, he's not the boy's family either, more like some sort of bodyguard. Who can afford to pay someone like this? The foul wench thought, unable to comprehend why Big Bear would willingly work under a child. Sadly for when Fei Fei, though, the big man didn't want to waste time dealing with a nobody. Reaching down with one hand, he lifts the lass up and readily moves to toss her out like a dog through the sliding glass exit. This behavior would have long warranted an interference from the bystanders. This was a young girl being thrown out by a big strong man here in public. However, when Fei Fei had quite the reputation around these parts, and the good kind for that matter. She's an arrogant bitch, a well-known Karen that's been long despised by those of high society. Therefore, seeing such karma coming around against this girl sent them all in delight and found it justly deserved. Little brother, the manager quickly speaks up after seeing the situation was devolving even further. That lady is the daughter of the Wen clan, a powerful family in these parts. If your bodyguard hurts her, then her people will definitely come back for revenge. I suggest you leave right away and hide abroad. This boy doesn't deserve what's coming. He needs to leave and save himself. No matter the influence and reach of the Wen clan, they can't stretch their claws to other countries. The Wen clan? Mr. Manager, are you talking about the same family that has a person by the name of Wen Shan? He asks while stroking his little chin, a sure sign the steam bun was coming up with the naughtiest plan in his head. The manager nods seriously with all the strength of a kind stranger. Yes, there's such a man in that clan. He's a well-known individual around here. But why do you ask that, little brother? Oh, then that's perfect. Bai Xiaoqun jumps up in glee. Mr. Manager, if they do come looking for me, then please send them up to my room. I can save some trouble in looking for them myself. The manager literally gawked his mouth in shock and disappointment. In his view, this child was still too immature and was seeking his own demise by not fleeing right away. Didn't you hear my young master's command? Big Bear had finished tossing the package out when he returned to see the scene. That's why he got harsh in his voice, seeing the hesitation in the manager's face. They're the Water Clan, individuals at the peak of the martial world in this country. Forget about some puny Wen clan and their lackeys. Even government officials would have to think twice before crossing members of their clan. And sure enough, the manager yielded to the request after seeing the resolute face of his patrons. He's a worker here only, not some savior that should pry into others' business. Sometime later, the event in the lobby didn't upset the steam bun at all today. In fact, it's brought him great joy when his second party suddenly showed up at his doorstep and now currently stood before himself across the table. I'm so lucky to think I would meet Mother's enemy this quickly. Will she praise me if I punish them properly? Oh, what to do? How should I deal with these people? Of course, the smiling grin of the boy had an entirely different meaning for Tian Wind, who had come today specifically to welcome Bai Xiaoqun. He even thought it's because the kid liked his own daughter a lot and hurried to push the last forward. Little young master, it's a great pleasure of ours to welcome you to this city. If I had known you were coming ahead of time, then I would have arranged an entourage for you at the airport. Please meet my daughter. Her name is Tian Foreign and will be happy to act as your guide while you're staying here. Tian Foreign originally didn't want to come since she's being dragged along, but after realizing how incredibly handsome and cute the boy was, her eyes fell into a trance at the possibilities. If his son is this cute and handsome, then what makes the father? That young lord from the Water Clan must be mesmerizing. What a shame his health is so poor. If I do marry him, then I can only be a widow at such a young age. The sensational stir of Bai Xiaoqun's entry. 6. She doesn't seem to want to meet me at all, does she? Bai Xiaoqun only needed a glance to pick up on the displeased aura coming off of the girl. Without surprise, Tian Wen's expression got a huge scare at being caught and hurried to glare at his own daughter to get the last in line. Turning back to the boy. How can that be? Little young master, you are so lovely and handsome. No one could possibly dislike you. Then that's good. Bai Xiaoqun smiles accordingly while hiding the naughty grin inside. My family's Yellowy is missing a female companion, and I also like your daughter, so she could be his mate. How about that arrangement? Yellowy. Tian Wen got stumped for words. What is this Yellowy? According to reason, the young boy here should be introducing Foreign to the young lord. Why someone else? Yellowy is a big golden retriever in my home. I think they're a good match. Tian Wen's face immediately got green. This brat wants my daughter to be a mate for a dog? And he dares to say they're a good match. Where the hell does he see they're a good match? Sir, you must be jesting me, right? He asks with a hint of displeasure, twitching in the lips, all the while trying to hold in his inner anger. Remaining serious as he replied, the steam bun's words were damning. How can you say I'm joking? I'm serious. But human and dog, how do you match them? Though unintended, that sentence thoroughly angered the boy and caused him to jump up from the sofa. Are you looking down on dogs? Why can't a human be matched with a dog? In my opinion, Yellowy is loyal and obedient, many times better than some people around here. Your Tian clan wants to throw your daughter to my father's side and have her become his woman. Who do you think you are to have such ideas? In my view, she is only qualified to be my pet's mate. He's a smart one, so how could Bai Xiaoqun not pick up on their intents as soon as they appeared? The only baffling part of all this was how stupid these people are. Why would they expect him to turn on his own mother and help them put another woman by Di Tsong's side? That's just ridiculous and stupid. Tian Wen's face suddenly froze, his eyes showing incredulous and shock over what he's heard. It's true he wanted to use the steam bun to his own advantage and stuff Tian Foreign to Di Tsong's side, but to be exposed by an immature brat left him stupefied. Getting the reaction that he wanted, Bai Xiaoqun retracted his angry gaze and continued with his plan. I heard your Tion clan destroyed another clan a while back. Is it the Bai clan? Startled by the question, Tion Wind popped his eyes right away. How'd this kid know about that? Little young master, there is indeed such an incident, but that's over 10 years ago already. May I know why you are bringing the matter up again? Bai Xiaoqin's heart instantly clenched up like someone just wrung it through the washer. That's how much it affected him. How much hardship did Mother experience while on Earth? She had to watch her loved ones die, and then watch her own father let that happen before her very eyes. These people must pay. I'll ask you one last question. Why did you destroy the Bai clan? For what reason? Regarding the reason for destroying Bai Yan's family, perhaps only the ones responsible would know the answer to that, hence his persistence in pressing the matter. Tian Wen didn't know why he's being pressured for something that shouldn't be related to the current matter at hand. However, he knew enough not to cross the young child in front of himself, especially when there's a wary bodyguard from the Water Clan nearby. Make no mistake, Tian Wind may be conceited and power-hungry at times, but his perception in recognizing a dangerous variable was top-notch. The one clan's here, one. Little young master, this matter, it's not that I can't say. Frowning in the face, Tian Wind spent a moment to go over his own words to not let anything that he didn't want spoken to slip. It's like this. At the beginning, the reason we destroyed the Bai clan was because we got word of that family holding a treasure that could help one gain divinity. We wanted to offer it up to your father as a gift. Sadly, after gaining possession of it, there was no way to know how to use said treasure, hence our reluctance to bring it forward. Those are nice words indeed. However, Tian Wind never once thought about giving it to Deetsong at all, in fact. After all, we wouldn't want to become a god or celestial immortal if possible. But as years dragged on with no sign of them ever figuring out the secret to said item, he figured it's better to use it now today as a gift to win some points with the Water Clan. At least that way he would curry some favors. Sadly for this man, though, Bai Xiaoqin wasn't going to go along with his plan. The boy's face remains unchanged without any sign of being ecstatic after being told a lie. So, it's for some treasure that you destroyed the Bai clan? Bai Xiaoqin asks again, his eyes starting to narrow in. Taken aback at first, Tian Wind had to take a good second to understand the boy's words. Hastening to laugh in order to break the tension, little young master, you don't have to worry about the Bai clan's demise. No one will know about the connection between the Tian clan and the Water Clan. There won't be any unwanted rumors floating around. I can promise you that. Oh, pricking his brow at the odd reply, Bai Xiaoqin now got somewhat curious at what the man meant. And what would that connection be? How come I don't know? Still not following, the man continues to speak without much forethought. The housekeeper in the Water Clan is my brother-in-law. I see. Bai Xiaoqin nods his head like he's understanding it now. Then turning to the big bodyguard nearby. Big Bear, go tell my father to change the housekeeper. We don't need such a person working under us. Batty father really messed up this time. He's been here for 8 years and doesn't even realize Mother's enemy is actually right under his nose. I wonder what Mother will do to him if I tell her about this blunder. Will Batty father be shown the whip? Tian Wind's expression promptly crumbled into a look of horror and shock. Little young master, is there a misunderstanding between us? My brother-in-law has been working faithfully under the Water Clan's rule. How can you dismiss him so readily? Grinning right up to his eyes at being called out, Bai Xiaoqin knew it's his time to play. That's easy. I don't like the guy, and that makes me unhappy. What other reason would I need? If I don't like an individual, then it's only normal for me to change them out. Duh. As for the debt with these people from the Tian clan, I'll wait till Mother gets here and let her do the final decision-making. I'm sure Mother will be very pleased, though Batty father did say not to let Mother dirty her hands, but I'm sure she will like to anyways. Dad, Tian Foreign's complexion hadn't looked good to begin with. Now after hearing the steam buns words, her face only got uglier as she stomped her feet. What's so great about this little thing? All he did is be born into a good life. If his mother didn't go seduce a sick bastard that's about to kick the bucket, why else would he be born? And now he dares to threaten Uncle's livelihood and status? That young lord from the Water Clan can't be this stupid. I refuse to believe such a thing. The One Clan's here, too, Foreign. Tian Wind quickly grabs hold of his daughter's arm, and drag hers behind his back. "Little young master, you have to forgive my daughter, but can you give me a reason for changing my brother-in-law out? How can he just so casually say it's because he doesn't like the guy?" Making a yawn as he lazily stretched those arms, Baishachin didn't reply and instead turns to his own bodyguard. "Big Bear, remove them from my sight. I want to rest now. Do not disturb me unless I call for you." "Yes, sir." The one with the nickname promptly stepped up like a huge mountain that he was blocking off the path for any chance of retaliation from these unwanted guests. Then again, the precautionary step was unwarranted here today. Tian Wind never even thought about hitting the steam bun, let alone retaliate. In fact, he's so scared of being thrown out by the big guy that he actually launched himself out the door on his own and disappeared from the corridor. And so, that's how the Tian clan had their first bout with the naughty steam bun. "Dad, this little brat is too much. It's bad enough that he thought about matching me with a dog. Now he even called to demote Uncle from his post? Based on what can he do that?" Tian Foreign unhappily stomps her feet after leaving the hotel, her eyes glaring with indignation at the glassy walls of the structure. "Foreign, do you now know the benefits of having power?" Tian Wind also follows his daughter's gaze and glared up to the glass windows that blocked off his view from Baishachin's room. "If you can become the Water Clan's woman, then our family won't have to worry about this happening again. Please, sweetie, I'm not trying to force you into a marriage, but our family only reached this stage thanks to your uncle's position. Now that he's unable to shield us anymore, what do you think the other clans would do if they ever figured out your uncle's gone?" Tian Foreign got what her dad was implying, but just thinking about how she's going to one day marry a medicine pot that might die anytime was sickening to her own heart. "Dad, why did the brat target our family? We never offended him anyway, did we?" "Silly daughter," the man sighs at those innocent words. "Did you not see how cunning that kid was? He saw through our plan from the very beginning, meaning his mother must have taught him about these power struggles from an early age. That woman is not a simple one. The boy's mother will be difficult to deal with if Foreign is ever to be at the young lord's side. She would do anything to remove us from the picture, and before then, I need to find out more on who this person is. The only one that could be the next chief's wife is my daughter, and if not, Foreign must at least be the guy's secret lover." Tian Foreign didn't say more as she hung her head in contemplation. She's still struggling on selling her own happiness out for power, but that deliberately soon started to waver towards giving in once by Shachin's arrogant face popped up in her mind. Her hands had clenched up into a ball of frustration. Am I really going to have to do this? Do I really have to sell my own body out in order to gain power? Am I that much of a disgusting character, willing to become a brat's stepmother? Foreign, you need to understand the situation you are in right now. That child in there is the young lord's son. Even if his mother can't marry into the Water Clan, she's still the boy's mother. No matter what happens, a child wouldn't want someone else being their stepmother when his own remains. Know this, you're going to face hostility no matter the choice you make. That's a fact. After saying that, the man ticks his lips upward into a smirk like the obstacle was no problem. "Dad, please don't say any more." Foreign's brain remains very messy and needed time to gather her thoughts. "Tomorrow. I'll give you a proper answer tomorrow." After leaving the hotel, Tian Wind didn't go anywhere else, only having the driver bring them back to their home. However, before the pair could even make it one step into the front door, the lady of the house had already come storming out of the front with an anxious face. "The Wind Clan's here, 3. Husband, what happened over at the hotel? Why did my older brother suddenly get a call from the young lord that he's dismissed from his position as the housekeeper?" Yu Snowing cries, her face pale and unstable. Tian Wind promptly halted in his own steps, staring right up to his own wife. "What did you just say?" "Tian Wind, what did you do to offend the little young master? My brother has been the Water Clan's housekeeper for 30 years, and my father and his father has been doing the same during their times. Why would they suddenly dismiss him? Yu Snowing's older brother didn't earn the position inside the Water Clan, rather that he inherited from his old man like a family legacy passing on the baton. The only issue was the harsh regulations that came with said post. Unless it's the individual themselves who's going to be the housekeeper, no other person from the Yu family could enter the Water Clan. Dad! Tion Foreign cries out, as well as she fell into a panic. He really did it. They really dismissed Uncle just because of one phone call from that brat. How could this have happened so quickly? Uncle worked for the Water Clan for 30 years. This is unreasonable. Tion Wind didn't want to quibble with her daughter regarding why. He's only growing more solemn in the face due to the indications of what this meant for his plans regarding betrothing Foreign to Deetsong. It won't be easy, and he knows it. Husband, you snowing grabs onto the man's arm. Tell me this isn't happening. Please tell me this is all a dream. Didn't my brother tell you to take good care of the little young master? What did you do to offend him? Tell me. At the end of the day, the lady of the house has lost all composure, grew mad crazy in those eyes. This outburst would be a first for you snowing. Ever since she married into the Tion clan, this lady had never gone overboard into an argument. She's well-educated and well-disciplined, and that's all because of her older brother's status. But that's all come to an end, all because of her husband's folly and ignorance. Mom, it's not Dad's fault. Tion Foreign saw her parents fighting and wanted to stop it. All of this is because the brat didn't like me. He says I'm too beautiful and thinks I'm trying to steal his father away from his mother. Humph! Nothing but a gold-digging slut that goes after riches. Otherwise, why else would that woman sleep with a medicine pot? With her fists clenched, the lass could barely keep that breathing in check. Such evil people are bound to fail. Dad, I've made up my mind. I'm willing to marry into the Water Clan. The lass's plan was simple. She must get revenge for today's humiliation by driving the brat out using his own father's hand. Afterwards, she would then ditch the medicine pot, using some excuse of some kind. After all, getting revenge was one thing. Wasting her life on a limp dog was another. You Snowing's eyes only got more anxious after hearing her daughter's outburst. Foreign, what are you saying? That Water Clan is so dangerous. How can you even think about marrying into that family? You can't go. The one clan's here for. If at first you Snowing still had the same idea as her husband in pushing Foreign into an arranged marriage, then now she's totally of the opposite opinion. This mother only wants her daughter to stay far, far away from those people who would drive her older brother out after 30 years of service. Mom, I was ignorant before. That's why I wasn't willing. I know better now. I'm a daughter of this Tion clan. I won't let anyone harm us or push us around. Tion Foreign appears firm and calm despite the plea from her own mother. Sure enough, you Snowing couldn't say more as she stammered for a proper reply. You're too emotional. There is nothing wrong with what our daughter said. If she becomes the young lord's woman, then it will only bring our family endless benefit. What do you know as a simple woman? Tion Wind harshly lectures his own wife, not holding anything back in his tone. Before, this man would always keep himself from being too harsh toward his wife due to that brother-in-law. But he's no longer the Water Clan's housekeeper, meaning he had no reason to be merciful and could do as he pleased. Come, Foreign, go inside and get a good rest. I'll think of other ways to get you into the Water Clan. Giving his wife one final warning glare, the man leads his daughter inside by directing the girl along. Naturally, the cold reception didn't escape the lady's eye, which in part left you Snowing cold to the core as she watched the two closest kin she had slowly disappear from view. She wants to change things. Sadly, the woman also knows that without her older brother's support, her status within the Tion clan has diminished greatly. Compared with the chaos of the Tion clan, the One clan was also going through a turbulent time. When Fei Fei had just returned from the hotel after suffering the humiliation when the door to her room got pushed open. Startled at first, she quickly regains her head and called out to the entering individual. Pa! Bang! When Sean didn't greet her daughter like usual, though. Instead, he slams the cell phone in his hand against the ground. He's livid and green all over in the face. When Fei Fei, do you think this city is your back garden or something? Take a good look at the stuff you pulled at the hotel. It's all over social media already. Frame a child and then threaten the crowd? Get posted across the internet and become a meme? When Fei Fei's first instinct was to freeze along the sofa and not make any movements. She knows it's too late to hide the matter and decides to keep that mouth shut lest she causes more trouble. Husband. Chai Moon had heard the loud commotion between her husband and daughter by now and decides to intervene. However, instead of defending her child like most mothers would in these cases, the woman actually ran over and slapped the lass across the face. Fei, what did I teach you over the years? I told you not to seek trouble or cause it. Why won't you listen? Look how mad your pa is now, staring up with tears streaking down those cheeks, when Fei quietly sobs as she replied, Ma, I didn't mean to, but when I went to ask by E to help me get the antidote, that girl humiliated me and then kicked me out. I didn't dare to fight back, so I got angry and lost control when I yelled at that boy. Oh, Fei, my poor child. Weeping in the face, Chai Moon moves closer and brings her daughter into a hug to showcase how pitiful they were in front of the man. Whether by E is good or bad, she's still Bai Yu's apprentice. No matter what you do, you shouldn't have gone to bother her. You are better than that. I know you are. Don't worry, my Fei. Your ma and pa here won't leave you like this and let you suffer in pain. Ma, based on what can that Bai you do that to me? If not for our family picking her off the streets and raising her, she would be dead long ago from starvation. Just because Bai Yin returned, she's got a backbone now? I can't accept this. I can't accept such a bad person stepping all over me when I did nothing wrong. The one clan's here. 5. Truth was when Fei lied. When the foul wench went to the hotel and made a fuss inside the room, Bai Yi in fact didn't retort or mock her at all. The other girl merely spouted the truth and refused a request before slamming the door and went Fei's face. But when Sean doesn't need to know that, does he? All this man needs to know was his daughter got humiliated somewhere outside. That's all. Their mouth belongs to them. Let them say whatever they like. As long as I know your ma and you aren't bad people, then that's all that matters. Also, Fei, you can't vent your anger at a child regardless of your emotions. Do you know what your actions have caused to our family? The Wen clan have become a laughing stock among our peers right now. I will not permit another repeat of today's incident, understand? If he hadn't been drunk that year, then Chai Moon wouldn't have gotten pregnant. In the end, it's his fault, and he know it. Well, on the surface level anyways. Pa, when Fei sobbed some more as he met her old man's gaze, I understand. I will never do it again. All right, I will go handle the aftermath. You two rest while I go find your grandfather to discuss the matter. Starting today, no one in this household is allowed to go out. Okay. The girl didn't argue, only behaving like a good, obedient daughter. However, this wasn't enough to completely reassure the wary man here. Downstairs in the living room. Wife, you keep an eye on Fei for the coming days. I still don't feel comfortable if there's no one watching her. Raising a hand to pause the lady from interrupting after catching that moving mouth, when Sean wants to finish his sentence first. I know what you want to say, but that Bai Yi is a heartless wolf. There's no way she would help us get the antidote. Then how? Chai Moon still appeared worried in the face. I understand. Don't worry, I will be sure to keep an eye on Fei. I won't let her take a step outside our home. Pleased by the answer, when Sean nods and said nothing more before heading out the door. The military housing district. Inside the second floor of the Ling household's estate, Bai Yin casually places the paintbrush in her hand away after drawing a portrait of her boy. Cousin, when did you learn to paint like that? Nowadays, everyone only does it on a notepad or a laptop. Is it Aunt Yu who taught you? Ling Lang was flabbergasted and surprised by how skilled Bai Yin was at the old art. With a faint smile on her lips, she hands the painting to Ling Lang without elaborating. Don't be nosy. Here, this is my son's portrait. He is called by Xiaqin. Hurry and go help me locate his whereabouts. Taking it like a little dunt that he was, the handsome man was immediately taken aback by how lovely the little boy was in the picture. On top of that, he recognized that face. Cousin, coughing to clear his throat. Do you ever go on the web? Web? It's Bai Yan's turn to be bewildered. What is that? Now the guy's got it. Ling Lang had his suspicion about his cousin being a hermit due to the nature of a martial clan's usual behavior. Now the reply from Bai Yin merely confirms it. Wait here. I'll go get my phone and show you. The one clan's here. 6. Ling Lang didn't need much effort to locate the proper webpage once he found his phone. Today there was a child that appeared over at the airport. He's very cute and adorable, similar to those little fairies you often see in those TV shows. Because of that reason, someone posted his picture on the internet and received a lot of coverage from the media. Everyone's guessing who that star child is. After saying that, he flips the screen so that the woman could also see for herself. Lighting up in the face of the recognition, Bayan's expression grew very excited. It is Xiachen. That means he's also in the city? Ling Lang, hurry and go find out where he is. I'm going to see him. Okay. Give me a minute to make a call. I'll have my people search where he is. Then right as the dun of a man wanted to call for help, a ringing sound of a tweet stopped him from doing so. The following message read as so. Little boy faced trouble at high-end hotel and offended the young miss of the Wen clan. Seeing the title of that message, Ling Lang immediately opened up his phone again and turned it to Bayan. I don't have to ask around anymore. Your son is at a hotel right now. Specifically, the same one you're staying at. Bayan felt slightly happy that's the case, but her eyes soon narrowed into a dangerous look as she sneered over the title. It looks like I didn't give that one Fei enough pain to let her learn. She dares to harass my son. Ling Lang, have you looked into the mirror lately, my dear cousin? Do you know how ridiculous it is to assume you can give birth to a boy that old? But Guy didn't give his thoughts out because he also found it rather strange that when Fei would know about Bai Xiachen and go harass the child. It doesn't make much sense. Also, how would she know the kid would be staying in that hotel? Just as his lips were moving and he wanted to say something, a little lorry ran in from pushing open the door. Big brother, the big bad man from the Wen clan is here again. The big baddie from the Wen clan? Are you talking about Wen Fei or Wen Shan? Ling Lang asked his sister with a furrowed face. It's Wen Shan, that big baddie. Little Smile's cheek got all pink and flustered due to that name. Big brother, can you get rid of that big baddie? I hate them. I hate when Fei and her dad. Giving his little sister a comforting rub on the head. Don't worry, this is our Ling family's home. No one can bully you here. After saying this, he turns to meet Bayan's inquisitive gaze. A few years ago, my second uncle brought Smile and my little cousin out to play. They met when Fei by coincidence. That's when she gave the two of them a beating. My second uncle went to the Wen clan's home to demand explanation, only to be driven out by Wen Shan at the doorstep, claiming it's a fight between kids and that adults shouldn't intervene. Just thinking back to that incident would make Ling Lang's face sink into a dark sneer. Kids' little fight? Humph! That when Fei was already 18 back then, and my sister and cousin is only 4 and 12. A full-grown lady bullying two little kids. What part of that is a kid's fight? And do you know what the real reason behind when Fei hitting my sister? It's because Smile bumped into your foster sister on the streets that day. She saw and got unhappy. That's why she vented her anger out on some kids. There's undisguised anger in a man's eye now. He wanted to get payback for his little sister and cousin, but back then he was studying abroad and couldn't do anything. Now that he's back and all grown up, there's no way Ling Lang would let things go. Big brother, little Smile tugs at her older brother's sleeve. Can you get rid of them, okay? I don't want that bad man in our home. Be good, Smile. Leaning down to speak softly so she wouldn't cry. Big brother will go now and get rid of those bad people. No one can bully our family's good Smile. When Shan gets clobbered, 1. Living room of the Ling household. Byran's expression was awkward and uncomfortable as she sat across from the man whom she once called family. However, the feelings now only carried a heavy air of dislike and hostility. Byran, I came today for only one thing. I'm sure you've heard of Yenner returning already. You came to me for Yen. A flicker of surprise swept across the lady's eye at the mentioning of that name. Did Wen Shan finally grow a conscience and decide to treat Yen well? But does he think he can erase his own mistakes after making her watch my sister die? Indeed, I came to find you because of that girl. Frowning in the face, the man made a dissatisfied grunt. She's been staying outside for over 10 years, so her temper has changed horribly. The first moment she returned, she immediately poisoned Fei with some kind of pill, causing my daughter to suffer constant pain. I hope you can help me persuade that girl to hand over the antidote and change her evil ways. Bang! Byran slams her hands against the tea table, causing the cups to spill over and hit the ground smashing. She's very angry after hearing that disgusting request. I thought someone like you finally grew consciousness, but I clearly thought too higgly. You expect me to help you persuade Yin Yin to help your other daughter? Why do you think Yin Yin did that to Wen Fei? It must be because that wild daughter of yours did something to provoke her. Bai Ran. When Shan also grew irate at being called a heartless bastard, getting up from the sofa, he glares ferociously at the former sister-in-law. Chai Moon is my wife. Fei is my daughter. You better show some respect. Over the years, I've neglected Chai Moon and Fei for far too long. I didn't think they would be under this much pressure. Thinking up to here, a sense of guilt would rise from Wen Shan's heart and make him lose control. Chai Moon is your wife. Then what about my sister? Bai Ran doesn't back down and steps forward with a provocative sneer. Your sister is dead. Looking at those contemptuous eyes, Wen Shan's brain would instantly become a blank, thus letting his mouth slip without forethought. It emptied him, not only because of the truth behind that outburst, but because of how hollow he felt inwardly. For more than a decade, he never once spoke of Baiyu's death, only because of the pain for which he partially caused due to his own cowardice. You're right, Bai Ran also darkens in the eyes after that like some life left her soul. My sister is dead, but don't forget, you and that woman were already sleeping in bed together before she was even gone. You and Chai Moon made that one Fei while still being married to my sister. Pack. Shocking to the both of them in this living room. A loud, crisp sound of a slap resonated across the air. In its wake was a red fingerprint imprinted along Bai Ran's cheek, stinging her and stunning the woman into tears. When Shan actually didn't want to do that, he reacted out of reflex and rage in the heat of the moment. By the time he realizes what he has done, things were done and he could no longer undo things. All right, Ran, I didn't mean to. How are you? When Shan get clobbered to Mom, Ling Lang had just walked down the stairs from the second floor when he saw this occur before his very eyes. Without a single thought, the man rapidly rushed down and pushed the bastard away to protect his own mother. Mom, are you all right? Does it hurt? Against the threatening gaze directed at himself, when Shan couldn't deny he's slightly taken aback in that moment due to the boy's aura. Ignoring the fact that this house was General Ling's, the fact that Bai Ran was the old general's daughter-in-law was enough to put him in a bind. Not to mention the other person across from himself was his former wife's younger sister. Whether it be on the surface of underneath, he had no right to hit her. Ran, I didn't mean it. I really didn't mean to. I'm your brother-in-law. How can I bear to hurt you? His words didn't have the chance to finish, though. Next thing he knew was a blurring shadow dashing right down from the second-floor balcony and onto the open living room, causing him to fall backwards as a mysterious force roared into his chest. When Shan, it looks like you forgot my warning already. I told you before, if you provoke me again, then I won't mind removing you from the picture. You don't want to live, is that right? When Shan didn't need to look up to recognize that familiar voice. Instantly, a wave of panic shook the coward's heart. You! Why are you here? This is my aunt's home. Why can't I be here? As for you, though, you're no longer my mother's husband, nor are you my aunt's brother-in-law. Why are you hitting her? You're not qualified. That said, Bai Yin began to slowly stroll towards the other side, her mouth smirking a menacing cold grin that sent shivers down the coward's back. Right now, in this very moment, the bastard had no question about what would happen if he tried to do anything. The girl there would kill him. He's certain of it. Do you want to beat him? Right as everyone thought Bai Yin was about to act, she suddenly stopped and turned back to look at her cousin. Ling Lang nodded, not bothering to hide his real thought once his gaze met hers. I do. But the flirt knows himself better than anyone. He's not a martial artist, nor does he have the strength of one, meaning he won't be able to compete with an Olympic-level fighter like Wen Shan. All right, you can go ahead, beat him as you please. Even if you beat him to death, it's still okay. Stepping back after saying that, Bai Yin forms a meaningful smirk, knowing full well the woes of her young cousin. Don't worry, I've sealed his strength so he won't be able to retaliate against you. Even if you end up killing him, he won't be able to resist. Staring for a long minute, Ling Lang eventually came back to his senses and said the only words that came to his lip, "Thank you." He's thanking her for giving him the chance for payback. As to whether the act would incur the wrath of the Wen clan and cause a mess afterwards, that's not within the young man's consideration at the moment. When Shan naturally became shocked from his point of view, he tried to climb up from the ground out of reflex, but found his body unable to move an inch. Then before the man could cry out in defense, Ling Lang's fist had already come flying down, hitting him right in the eye. The flirt may not be a martial artist, but he's undoubtedly a full-grown man at his prime. Beating another guy using his full strength would hurt regardless of how well built their body was, which reflected in the nosebleed that promptly followed after the first punch. When Shan gets clobbered 3. Through all of this, while Ling Lang beat the heck out of Wen Shan, Bai Yin never once wavered or showed any signs of pity, only indifference as if she's staring at some unrelated individual. Big sister. It's then a slight tug came from the side and catches her attention. Can you help me suppress when Fei like you did to this big baddie? Pricking her brow up at the request, Bai Yin didn't understand why Smile would ask this of herself. Puffing up those cheeks, Smile quickly explains her reasoning. When Fei hit me and my cousin before, in order to protect me, cousin fractured his leg and is still scared of going out to that park. Then afterwards those big baddies from the Wen clan said the fight is between us kids and that adults shouldn't intervene. I'm not very old, so I don't know much, but even I know someone as old as that when Fei is no longer a kid. I want to help my cousin get payback like you were helping my big brother. She doesn't understand why when Fei would beat her that day, but Smiles know when one should get payback for the misdeed she suffered at others. It's time for retaliation. Okay. Bai Yin didn't refuse and gladly accepted the idea after getting the details she didn't know before. This Smile, she's just as naughty and cute as Dragoni. I wonder if that girl is awake yet. Perhaps she will be sad if I'm not around. And Ling Yin and Jean Tian, those two must be waiting for me to return. I need to hurry and find out what this amulet wants me to get. I can't stick around for much longer. Showing 2 dimples along her cheeks, Smile was so cute as she giggled away after getting her way. Thank you, big sister. You were so nice to me. Not only did you save me, you're also helping me beat that one Fei. In the eyes of this little girl, anyone who helps her get payback on that one Fei was a good person. Outside the villa, a crowd had already begun to gather due to the commotion. Ling Lang naturally wouldn't really murder Wen Shan before the crowd. However, venting his anger was a must, which showed in the level of blood staining his fist after clobbering the guy. Wen Shan sprawled on the floor with all his teeth knocked out right now. That's how badly he's been beaten. Cousin, Bai Yin saw how more and more people were gathering and decides to make her move by winking at the heated guy. Ling Lang couldn't read the lady's mind, but he's smart enough to know the lady must be planning something, so he immediately stepped to one side. Coming forward to stare down at her one-time father, Bai Yan's gaze was dark and full of disgust. When my mother was pregnant, you still had your lover give birth to a child. Then after my mother died, you had the nerve to bring that woman into her home. If at first the onlookers didn't know what's going then, that statement gave them more than enough hint to catch a whiff of the whole story. Unlike the other world, where men would often take in multiple wives into their home, Earth was very different in its custom, where having a secret lover would be a huge taboo. Even if the fault lies in the main wife's side, people would still point fingers at the third party. That's how it goes in this world. So, what qualification do you have to come make trouble for my aunt in her home? You slapped her after she simply called out the truth, and you then threatened her to persuade me? My aunt did no wrong. And you think my cousin is only beating you because of your slap against my aunt? You're wrong, very wrong. He's also beating you for Smile's sake. Gaining momentum in her words, Bai Yan's loud speech catches everyone's ear. How old is Smile? No older than a kindergartner that year, while your daughter is already 18 that year. Then when my uncle went to your home to demand an answer, all you said was that it's a fight between kids and that adults shouldn't interfere. Heartwarming by Xiaqin. 1. When Shan's face appeared very embarrassed. Although he's a bit overbearing at times, but the guy's not stupid. These things are well known in their private circle. But once it's brought to the forefront, then it's undoubtedly going to bring shame to the entire family. Therefore, he's livid and ashamed at the same time, the indication of the guilt he had in his heart. Sure enough, the looks from all the onlookers are filled with contempt at this point. A full-grown adult bullying a child? Say it's a fight between kids? And won't let the injured side's parent come demand an answer? What a rare sight to behold. A truly shameless bastard. Ling Lang now fully understands why his cousin would tell him to back down. It's to clear his own name so others wouldn't point fingers after this beating. For that, his gaze couldn't be any more grateful. After all, the Ling household was one of the founding members of this country. Whether it be internal discipline of their members or the reputation given to the public, the Ling family was known for being right and just. For him to openly beat another man in the streets, well, imagine the fallout for his grandfather, who's a high-ranking general. Those political oppositions would have a field day making trouble for their family. Cousin, Bai Yin coldly gave Wen Shan a glare before turning back to Ling Lang. You've vented your anger, so let's go first. As for him, have some of the security guards come around and toss him out. From now on, don't let any of the people from the Wen clan hear anymore. Ling Lang dumbly nodded at that order. He's overwhelmed by how quickly things were moving. Then thinking back to how he fell heads over heels for this woman at their first meeting, the guy just couldn't help but sigh in regret. Hotel. In order to stay at such a high-end establishment, those that come are usually very wealthy or influential. Therefore, their confidentiality measures are top-notch, and thus making it difficult for one to figure out an individual's room number. Thankfully, Ling Lang had his connections. The son of the hotel's owner was the flirt's drinking buddy. That fact alone was enough to get the receptionist to make a phone call right away. Unbeknownst to his mother's arrival, Bai Xiachen had been curiously fiddling with all of the high-end products in his room. If only little sister and Dragoni is here too. Despite how much fun he's having, just thinking back to those two girls in his family was enough to make the boy droop that face. He couldn't share his joy, and that depressed him. Little master, it's then Big Bear, the bodyguard assigned to the steam bun, spoke up. I just got a call from the reception desk that a woman wants to see you. Woman. Bai Xiachen didn't know who, so the identity of said woman befuddled him. Is it someone from the Wen clan? No. She said she is your mother. Donk. The steam bun had just gotten to playing with the TV's remote controller when he heard this. Thus it didn't come as a surprise that he would drop the item without realizing he did so. The boy flew to the door in the next, rushing to the elevator so he could get downstairs as soon as possible. Big Bear didn't expect such a strong reaction there. After his initial stupor, the big fella promptly gave chase out of fear for the boy getting hurt. He's all too aware of how clueless the young kid was towards the things in the city. Big Bear, do you think that receptionist at the front desk would lie to me? How did mother know where I'm staying? Doesn't she need time to find me? Bai Xiachen didn't know how to work the elevator buttons, so he was standing around anxiously in wait. Heartwarming Bai Xiachen, too. Will mother favor other people's child beside me, since I wasn't around for a while? Will she miss me as much as I miss her? No. I'm sure I will miss mother more than she misses me. Mother has too many people to care for, and a lot of babies to worry about. Meanwhile, I only have mother. Swinging his head around to look up to the big bodyguard. By the way, Big Bear, do you think I should change on my clothes first? Mother likes clean children. I'm not sure if I'm clean enough in this. Big Bear. This would be the first time the big fella discovered his young charge had such a big blabbing mouth. Unlike right now, the steam bun would hardly speak to his old man during his stay at the Water Clan. And when they did speak, it would always cause the young lord to throw a fit. While the two here each had their own individual thoughts, the elevator in question had already reached the first floor of the main lobby after making a ding. And with the doors slowly swinging open, a beautiful lady donning a gorgeous red of modern design came into view. Mother! Bai Xiachen was the first to recognize that face, causing his smile to grow exponentially wider to the point where he threw himself at her waist. Oh, how great! Being next to mother is the best. It's so comfortable and warm. Bai Yin was just as happy as her boy. Reaching down to embrace the clingy child, her face radiated a heartwarming shine that could never be found elsewhere. Against this picture, Ling Lang, who was behind the lady, found it surprising and hurting. It goes to show how little importance he was to this newfound cousin of his. Mother, you are the warmest light in my heart. Without you, my heart will always be dark and without clarity. So, mother mustn't go looking for other babies to care for, okay? You must only like me. Ling Lang was still lamenting at his own menial existence when compared to Bai Xiaqin's grand entrance when he overheard that poetic phrase. Immediately, the flirt started a twitch in the eye and mouth because he felt ashamed at his own supposed skills to woo the opposite sex. Truly, if a boy that young could spout so much lovely-dovey words, then what would he do when he grows older? Ling Lang couldn't even imagine the sort of storm this nephew of his would rouse once the time comes. Xiaqin is so good. Giving her son a peck on the cheek, Bai Yin couldn't hide her inner happiness in the way she's smiling. Of course I won't go look for other babies to care for. You will always be the shining sun in mother's heart. Without you, the world will be dark for me too. These days, Bai Yin could never get a decent rest due to not finding this boy. She's a mother, and as any mother would do, they would worry about their children's welfare like if he's eating right or sleeping well. Heartwarming by Xiaqin 3. It's so nice to have a son around. I can't lose him anymore. Xiaqin, I'll introduce you to someone. This is your distant uncle. Bai Yin points to Ling Lang, who's behind themselves. Turning to the indicated young man, Bai Xiaqin's eyes were moving like a good fawn before he spoke. Hello, uncle. Instantly, Ling Lang's heart melted away due to how adorably cute the boy was in the way he's addressing himself. Without hesitation, the man pulls out a credit card from his wallet and offers it over. Good Xiaqin. Uncle here didn't bring any gifts, so this credit card will have to act as our meeting present. The password is 6xxxxxx. Go ahead and spend it as you please. The young mustn't refuse a gift from their elders, so thank you, uncle. I don't have anything special prepared either, so please accept this from me. That said, Bai Xiaqin promptly pulls out a bottle of Dan pills to offer. These are the snacks mother gave Xiaqin. I hope uncle won't mind. Ling Lang's smile literally bloomed with delight then. He didn't think this newfound nephew would be so polite and clever to the point it's making him jealous the boys, not his own son. This child is so sensible. He even knows not to refuse a gift from his seniors and return a gift with his own. Most children nowadays wouldn't know such courtesy. Cousin here taught her son very well. Of course, Ling Lang wouldn't know how valuable the gift he received today was until later on. Otherwise, he might lose his wits and return it right away. Big Bear, the bodyguard, on the other hand, wasn't so clueless. The second the boy brought out that bottle was when the big fella locked onto it like hawk. He could feel the intense spiritual power oozing into the air. Did I hear it wrong? The little young master said those snacks were prepared for him by the young madam. She has Dan pills in her possession, even though the Water Clan also had alchemists working under them. But they're the strongest in this region, and based on the big guy's judgment, Bai Yin would at most be one of the members of the 4 lesser martial families in this region. That could only mean it's this lady who refined the precious pill. Uncle, you mustn't eat too many of my snacks at once, okay? Only one at a time. If you do, then you will become like that one Fei Fei. The lad already knew what one Fei Fei did during the first encounter, hence the warning. He doesn't want this kind uncle to be inferior to those of the same level. Ling Lang naturally felt puzzled by the warning, but dismissed it as nothing more than a child's innocent reminder. Reaching over to rub the kid's head. Good Xiaqin, uncle here is very happy and will cherish it greatly and not eat a single one. I will keep it on display. Besides, he's already so old. Why would he gorge himself on sweets at his age? Bai Xiaqin immediately got all serious after hearing that remark. No, uncle. You must eat this. Eat the green one first, then eat the others. Your physique and mine are different, so you mustn't eat more. Otherwise, it will be harmful. Ling Lang's mind only got confused after that little outburst. Even so, he remains calm and smiling against that stern-looking child. All right, uncle here will try your snack as soon as I get back home. As it so happens, your little Annie is also quite fond of snacks. Me and her can eat it together. How old is my Annie? Bai Xiaqin asks after murmuring to himself about something. Oh, she just turned 9 this year. 9 years old? Then she can eat it. Uncle, you must remember to never let anyone under the age of 5 to eat the snacks. Promise me. Heartwarming Bai Xiaqin, for This time Ling Lang did not think too much about the remark. After all, young children shouldn't gorge themselves on candies or snacks. There's no wrong in by Xiaoqin's request. Bai Yin did not explain in this situation despite knowing what her son was worried about. She's rather happy the boy would go to such lengths for Ling Lang, because it shows the boy does care about this distant relative. Big cousin, you should go back home first. I still have something to talk with Xiaoqin. Against this request despite only getting to know his nephew, Ling Lang didn't deny it. He understood there must be a lot of things to talk about between the pair who just reunited, making a cool laugh. Of course, don't worry, Bai Yin. Your big cousin here knows how to make himself scarce. When you are free, do bring Xiaoqin to my home. I'm sure my mother will love to meet him. Once he finished saying that, the flirt promptly realized he's been disregarding a certain someone nearby. His eyes slowly turned to Big Bear and got all wary and vigilant. The guy may not be a martial artist, but he's from a military family, hence his ability to discern danger and those who's physically trained their body. This man, he's just like them. He's a real preconditioner of martial art. Uncle, he's my bodyguard for my father. The steam bun picked up on that gaze and casually explains. When Bai Yin heard her boy said, "Father," the lady's heart literally skipped a beat, hurrying to grab the steam bun soldier so she could get a proper answer. Xiaoqin, are you saying your father's here? In this place? Ditsong's here? On Earth? There's an indescribable feeling circulating within the demon queen's heart. Excitement? Not quite. Worry? A little bit. But more than both of those feelings, it's a sense of deep guilt. In this life, all she's done was to make that man follow her wherever she goes. Whether it be through danger or peril, it's always like that. Meanwhile, she, on the other hand, couldn't do a thing aside from being a burden. Mother, let's go inside before we talk. Bai Xiaoqin takes a look at the people that's staring over and decides to go elsewhere. He's not comfortable being stared at like some item. Okay, let's go back to your room. Taking hold of her son's hand, Bai Yin led the way into the elevator. Big Bear didn't follow suit, though. He instead went to the parking lot with Ling Lang, since he knows it's not his place to eavesdrop on the pair while they talk. Instead, he wanted to give his own advice to the flirt who's clearly clueless to the value of his newfound gift. The thing you got from the little young master, it's some really good stuff. Don't waste it. This time around, Ling Lang simply became bewildered. He knows his nephew wasn't exactly your average kid based on the fact that he could use true martial artists as a bodyguard. But what's so special about the gift? Inside the hotel room, as soon as Bai Xiaoqin went inside and saw no one was looking, he promptly threw himself into Bai Yan's arms like a little kitten wanting to snuggle. If it was in the past, then this act would surely make the woman reprimand her boy that he's no longer a little baby. However, she also knows it's been hard on her little precious boy since they came to Earth. Xiaoqin, where is your father now? Where is he? Bai Yin asks after giving her boy a soothing rub on the head. Mother, father will come soon. You can ask him in person then. Also, Mother, did you know State Teach sent father back here 8 years earlier? Heartwarming by Xiaoqin, 8 years ago? Why is that? Bai Yin pricks her brow in confusion. Batty father told me that if he wanted to come to Earth, he would need to find a body that's closely matching his own. However, State Teacher could only locate a body through his prophetic ability that should have died 8 years ago to use. That's why Batty father transferred over earlier than us. In other words, Ditsong arrived on Earth 8 years ago, while she and her son only arrived recently. Bai Yan's heart immediately tensed up in pain, causing her fists to clench up like she couldn't breathe. Ditsong had to wait for me for 8 years and some for offland. I did it again. I made him suffer so much because of my own willful wishes. It's then the woman suddenly recalled back to the time where she spent wandering out in the wild by herself on Earth. Something snapped into place inside her mind because aside from the initial 2 early years where she encountered danger and suffered a lot of injuries, Bai Yin couldn't say the following 8 years were all that perilous. This leads her to believe that must be because her husband's working in the shadows. For example, on many nights the lady would find her senses tingling like someone sneaking around in the dark and stalking her. Of course, Bai Yin never thought too much of it, and left it as wariness and fatigue playing at her mind. But now, well, it doesn't take much to connect those dots, especially the hair-raising cold shiver of when she's bathing in the wild. It's obvious Deed Song was peeking at her naked body while in the water. Mother, Batty Father said he watched you fall from the lightning strike back then. He really wanted to help you block. He really did. But he didn't because he knew how much you cared about the family and friends on the other side. Bai Yin understood why her boy was saying that and smiled in agreement. Yes, I don't blame your father. He made the right choice. I would rather die than to miss the opportunity to meet everyone in the other world. Also, I wouldn't be able to have you if I didn't die that day either. Mother loves you so much, Xiaqin. That said, the woman went ahead to pull her son into a warm embrace to show her affection. Really, the steam bun happily wraps his little hand around hers to show his affection. Nodding, Bai Yin strongly reaffirms the notion. I've used up all my good karma in this life to meet your father. Because of your father, I now have you, Ling Yin and Jean Tian. Besides, there are so many people who cares for us on that side. What else could I ask for? Exhaling a small breather after hearing that statement, the steam bun appears very much relieved. He's been worried Bai Yin would regret dying just to have him and his siblings. If that's the case, what would he do then? Mother, I will be very good and obedient. Those people who brought you harm will pay for what they did. I promise you. Xiaqin here will always be your most intimate and kind baby. Those people who hurt Mother will know what sort of a mistake they made. No one can hurt my mother, no one. Heartwarming by Xiaqin. 6. Bai Yin did not make any friends in the previous life on Earth, nor did she bring Bai Yi along with her. The reason for that secluded nature wasn't only to enhance her own strength by diving into alchemy and such. It's mostly because the lady had no will to continue living after revenge. She intended to off herself after the fact. However, in the other world, that idea had long left her due to all the warmth she experienced from the friends and family she made along the way. Di Song knew this, of course, hence the reason the Demon King didn't save his wife from that thunderbolt. Otherwise, the outcome would be that Bai Yin remains the same older, the same woman who's only out for revenge and without a will to live. If that's the case, what then? It's not like the Demon King could just rewrite history and then still get the same outcome. That doesn't work. Mother, Bai Xiaqin looks up with his small little head. I miss Grandchiefess and them. I also miss Sister E and Annie. Once we go back to the other world, can we go see them in the human realm? Of course, there's no objection on her part. After all, Bai Yin received a lot of help from those friends and family, especially those who were there at the very beginning where she was at her weakest. On this new lease on life, it's unforgettable. But then just as the mood was going well, the steam bun decides to throw a bomb down that destroyed it completely. Let's go without Batty Father, just us. Batty Father is too intimidating, and Sister E have a small heart, so she will be scared. Immediately, Bai Yan's mouth twitched over that comment. I'll have your father control himself. Getting all pitiful and teary, Bai Xiaqin knew he's not going to get his way this time around. He wanted to hog Bai Yin to himself on the trip. That's why he suggested to leave Di Song behind. Also, don't say bad things about your father. Bai Yin pinches her boy on the nose as a tease, knowing full well how naughty the rascal could be when it came to her own husband. Making a wronged face after hearing that remark. Then can Mother still snuggle with me if Father is around? Can you still give me a kiss on the cheek too? He purses his lip like some pitiful pet waiting for its owner to consent. Why not? You're my son. Yeah, we can take Batty Father with us then. I'm fine with that as long as I can snuggle with you, Mother. Batty Father may be annoying at times, but I will bear with him if you insist, Mother. As long as he could do as he pleases, then what does an extra D song matter in the equation? Anyways, Xiaqin, when is your father? When is he coming? Waiting for a good moment, Bai Yin eventually asks after succumbing to her own desire. 8 years. No matter how patient the lady was, 8 years was still a long time for anyone. How could she not want to console her own husband after knowing that fact? I don't know, but Batty Father said he needed to do one more thing before coming. I don't know when, but he said at most 2 or 3 days. That said, the steam bun went ahead to tug at her sleeve. Mother, Batty father will definitely come find us. You just need to wait for him, so don't worry. Thinking it over, Bayan eventually accepts this fact despite her own urge to search. Okay, I will listen to you. I believe your father will come find us soon. By Xiaoqin's present one, ran. Running into the main living room of the Ling household's estate. The man by the name of Ling Yun appeared anxious in the face when searching for his wife's whereabouts. Only by seeing Ran loftily sipping tea on the sofa did the man calm down. Ran. I heard when Sean, that bastard, came to make trouble. Are you all right? Are you hurt anywhere? Before he came home, Ling Yun had been busy dealing with some business at work when one of his subordinates reported the news of when Sean making a scene in his home. That's why he came running back so quickly without checking what has happened on the phone. I'm okay. Our son beat up when Sean for me. Hubby, regarding our son beating up that guy, do you think you and father can settle it somehow? I'm worried that when Clan will try something, Ran asks with a troubled expression. Initially, the lady did not stop her son Ling Lang due to her own grief against Wen Shan, but after cooling her head down and figuring out the gravity of the situation, she knew it's going to get messy. After all, the coward may be a bastard, but he's still the son of the current chief of the one clan. That's bound to cause some trouble for their family. Don't worry about that. Me and Dad can handle the aftermath. Ling Yun smiles reassuringly. All right, our son shouldn't be a match for that one Sean, right? How come he's able to beat that guy? There's an obvious look of puzzlement in the man's eye because he knows his own boy the best. Aside from being a flirt with those movie stars and girls of high society, Ling Lang didn't have any other special ability. That. Here, sit down with me and let me explain. I got something really good to tell you. Ran wraps her arm around her husband's and make him sit. Do you remember my older sister's daughter? Thinking back to that name, Ling Yun starts recalling back to the fuzzy memory of that young girl who would often hide behind her own mother. Unlike his wife, he himself didn't have much of an impression from that side of the family anymore. The only impression would be that his niece was well-behaved and sensible, often clingy and very likable. Pity, if the Bai clan didn't face destruction, that child wouldn't be missing for all these years. I remember her. She's called one Yin, wasn't she? No, she's called Bai Yin now. Bai Ran harshly correct her own man. That's what I want to talk about. Bai Yin, that girl, she's back. Not only is she back, she's grown up to be a fine lady. Appearing shocked along the face, Ling Yin quickly speaks. Then did she go back to the Wen clan? Does she know about Wen Shan's new wife and new daughter? Honestly speaking, Ling Yin had a very bad impression of Wen Shan and held the guy in great contempt. For one thing, taking on a new wife and daughter right after your first family broke apart was enough to make anyone frown. Then did you invite the girl to our home? I would like to see this niece of mine for dinner. It's time we did our part to take care of that poor child. No matter what, she's still our relative. As her uncle, the least I can do is make sure she's doing well. Showing a gentle smile, Ling Yun really meant it when he said he wants to help. Also, go call that rascal that is our son back home for dinner. I want him to help his cousin out since they're around the same age. We're too old to be too involved, so it's better if the young ones interacted more often. PFF. By Xiaoqin's present, too. Bai Ran could no longer keep her eyes from forming a curve after hearing her husband's words. She's too happy that it's showing on the surface. Why are you acting so happy all of a sudden? Did I do something? Ling Yun couldn't understand the inexplicable look he's getting, like he's some gullible child being praised. Oh, that. You don't need to fret about Ling Lang getting to know our niece. Grinning now in the face, Bai Ran pauses to keep her husband hanging as a playful tease. But you did return in time. I want to talk to you about something else as well. Before you return, our daughter almost got hit by a speeding car along the road. What? Ling Yun's complexion got deathly pale, understanding the severity of how close his baby girl came to death today. I know you're busy out there working for our family, but hubby, I suspect someone is out to get us this time. That speeding car is no accident. It's likely premeditated. Ling Yun's beating heart won't stop at the suggestion, causing his hand to clench up greatly when he spoke with that cracking voice. Dear, don't worry. I will make them pay for going after Smile. Dad is already getting old, so don't let him know. I will personally handle this matter. They won't be able to hide from us. The man understood, Unless the one behind the plot gets identified, then the danger would continue to lurk around. By then, their family would never be able to rest at ease knowing a shadow was after them. I know you will keep our family safe, hubby, the lady sighs. But we also have to thank our niece Bai-Yin as well. She's the one who saved Smile before the car crash. Apparently, she's a martial artist like my sister and parents. If at first Ling Yin only took his niece as someone that needs help, then this newfound piece of news only made him feel grateful and proud. Grateful for saving his young daughter, proud of having such a strong-willed niece who doesn't give up despite the cruelties of life. If so, then we need to invite her over to our house even more. I need to thank her personality and show her hospitality. Unable to hold back a giggle over her husband's antic, Bai Ran couldn't ask for a better response. I'll go have Ling Lang tell her. As the old saying goes, when you speak of someone, then they are bound to show up. Exactly. Then the main door was pushed open, and in came a handsome youngster who appeared all excited like he's just came home from the carnival. Mom, guess who I met after going out with Bai Yin? As for his old man, Ling Lang just ignored the guy like he's thin air. That's how little care the flirt had for his own father. Laughing at her son's childish behavior, Bai Ran didn't reject this and happily asked the question. Oh, and what sort of person did you meet that is making you so jolly? You will never guess. We were able to find Bai Yan's son right away. That little guy is so cute and adorable. I wish I could kidnap the little rascal to our home. Though the boy is only 8 this year, but he's so clever and smart. If Smile and the boy wasn't related, then I would love to pair them together. They would look like dolls together. I tell you, Mom. Bai Yan's son, 8 years old. Ling Yun's voice suddenly got all menacing when he spoke up from the side of his son, thus scaring the flirt to death under that threatening gaze. It couldn't be helped. Ling Lang had always been the carefree and flamboyant son of this family, constantly disregarding his old man after being old enough to do so. However, before then, Ling Yin was known to be very serious and stern regarding his own son and would beat his bum whenever the flirt caused trouble outside. By Xiaoqin's present 3, Bai Ran hurried to wink at her own boy to stop before angering the man some more, hurrying to help calm the situation. Hubby, Bai Yan's child is very good. Perhaps she got conned in some way back then. That's why she gave birth so young. We don't know the full story, so let's judge her without getting the details. Okay? It's already sad enough on what happened to her. Ling Yin did not respond despite the plea, leaving the whole room in an awkward air of heaviness. Against her husband's heavy expression, the lady only grew more anxious and worried. She couldn't stop staring into the man's eye out of fear on he might think. Ling Lang definitely felt the oppressive air hanging in the room, lowering his head in guilt at making this mistake. Dad, don't be like that, please. I think Bai Yan liked her son very much and seems happy too. Sure, she did get pregnant very young, but I see the child as a gift to her and not a burden. After saying that, the guy also took out the bottle of Dan pills in his possession to show the gift he got. See this, Dad? This is something that child gave me. If anyone is to blame, then it's those bad people who conned my cousin into the ordeal. The two are innocent and shouldn't be blamed. Both of you don't have to be so nervous. I know that girl is a good child, nor will I be prejudiced against her. After all, she didn't have anyone beside her during those tough years. No one can blame her for what happened. But you though, son, if I find out you ever get a girl pregnant without marrying them, then I will break your leg. Ling Lang simply gawked his mouth ajar in shock after hearing that ending. Isn't this too biased? I didn't even do anything, and I still get hit. Dad, then what about Smile? How dare you jinx your own little sister? Ling Yin grew furious and glared at his own unfilial son. If I find out someone knocked Smile up at that young age, then I will break that animal's leg. As for the baby, our home is more than big enough. We can afford to care for another mouth. Besides, you think everyone is like you who likes to hook up with any beauty that crosses your way? Don't you dare try me. If I find out you really do knock up a girl without marrying them first, then I would rather disown you before I let you step foot into this home. Ling Lang literally squealed, his hair raising into a sweaty mess at that warning. Dad would never dare. It's true this flirt likes to hang around those beautiful flowers, but when have he ever played around like everyone think? He's not the type to mess around, okay? At most a little kiss or a little touch here and there, but even when he does sleep with them, it's only with a condom. Never raw, of course. The woes of this playboy would never reach the ears of those closest to him. The behavior portrayed to the public was simply too strong to the point where Ling Lang would never be able to shirk it off even after marriage. At that point, the man would constantly be dictated around by his wife due to his philandering playfulness. Don't dare. Ling Yun sneered at his own son's promise. I will believe it when I see it. If you ever become someone like that heartless when Sean, then I would send you back to the maker than to keep you in my sight. A shudder gripped the flirt's back. For once in his lifetime, he got the sensation that he better keep his manhood in check lest he loses it. He knows his old man wouldn't really murder him, but making his manhood go limp wasn't something out of the equation. There are plenty of medicine and drugs to do just that. Son, it's then Bai Ran finally took notice of the pill bottle in Ling Lang's hand. Did you say that is from Bai Yan's son? Ling Lang finally regained some sense back into himself and nodded. This is the snack Xiachen gave me. He says it's our meeting gift. Hearing this, Ling Yun immediately focused in on his son, and with more anger this time around. You animal. How could you take candy from a child? You are his uncle. It's you who should be giving him a present and not the other way around. Buy Xiachen's present for, Dad, if I was an animal, then what would you be? Ling Lang meekly mutters this, too afraid to openly speak his mind. Ling Yun. It's at this moment where Bai Ran finally took a better look at Bai Xiachen's present. Reaching over with her hand, Son, let me have a look at that bottle. Oh, here, Ma. Handing it over, the flirt scratches his nose like a good son that he was. Initially, the lady only had her suspicion due to the familiar scent she smelled from the container's surface, but that suspicion immediately turned to certainty after popping the cork. That scent was intoxicating and brought old memories back to the forefront. Dan Pill, these are alchemic pills. What did you say, Ran? The husband nearly lost his own breath at the outburst. I'm certain these are definitely alchemic pills. Bai Ran's voice sounded very excited. Back when I was living with my parents in the Bai clan, my father had a couple in his treasury, so I was able to come into contact with a few in my younger years. This smell, it's unmistakable. On Earth, only big, powerful clans like the Water Clan would have their own personal alchemists in their service. As for the smaller family clans like the Bai clan and such, they could only resort to purchasing a few from various auctions in rare occasions. Mom, you must be mistaken. These are only snacks Xiachen gave me. Ling Lang didn't buy the idea and started to doubt his own mother. However, that suspicion quickly changed to belief after he recalled back to the Steam Bun's warning about eating only one at a time. There's also the comment from that big bodyguard about the bottle being something really good. It can't be. Are these seriously alchemic pills? By now, Ling Lang's body had started to tremble because he's only now starting to understand the gravity of the situation. Mom, I really didn't know these are Dan pills. I thought they're only Xiachen's snack. If I had known then, I wouldn't have accepted something so valuable. Should I return it back to him? Now I see why cousin was making that smiling face. Bai Yin knew what her son was giving me. Did Yin Yin say anything? Bai Ran was just like her son and was visibly shaking due to the value in her hands. Alchemic pills. These things are no different from being legendary items for them who weren't part of the martial world. Not to mention, they have a whole bottle's worth here. My cousin didn't say anything, and she didn't tell me the truth. Ling Lang was ready to cry at this stage. They likely won't accept it anyways, even if you send it back now. Contemplating the issue, Bai Ran eventually came to a decision. Since it's Xiachen who gifted this to you, then keep it. Just don't forget their kindness, and know this will change your life forever. Ling Lang's nervously received the bottle back from his mom and held it like some miracle drug. Mom, you're a martial artist, so you should take these pills. Don't you want to get stronger? Bai Ran appeared pleased by her son's offer, but shook her head anyways. My talent is already set in stones at this point in my life. Any more will be wasted on me. Besides, the stronger I get, then the longer I will live. That means I will have to grow old by myself after your father passes. Spending a lifetime with your father is what I want, not some lonely extension on my lifespan. What's more, she's not going to steal this opportunity from her own children. That's foolish beyond belief if she did. The younger they are, the more benefits these pills would have on them. I remember little Xiachen said to take the green one first. Mom, should I try it now then? It's not like the flirt doesn't want to be a martial artist like his own mom during his childhood. Just that Ling Lang knew his own talent, and there's limited resources at their family's disposal. However, the opportunity has now been laid before him, so how could he refuse? It's also a mean for him to get the power for revenge on those who wish his little sister harm. The guy didn't forget that traumatizing moment where Smile almost got ran over by that sports car. By Xiachen's present 5, Mom, I understand. I will not let my cousin and nephew down. Ling Lang appears determined along the eyes as he stared down at the container. He remembers Xiachen asking him to take the green pill, so he did. Immediately, a burst of air came gushing out of his pores and left the man soaked in his own smelly sweat of grime and filth. The guy had just made the first step into the world of cultivation, a requirement for all who wish to start absorbing the energy around themselves. In reality, there are no lacking in people wanting to dive into the mystic and unknown. Sadly, Earth has become too polluted and impossible to get started. Like in the East, where martial arts need to learn how to wield the energy in the air to begin cultivation, they couldn't really do it due to their veins being plugged with unnecessary elements. As a comparison, it would be the same as a car filled with gas, but couldn't ignite it due to its tube being clogged with dirt. Then in the West, there's magic, a powerful art that manipulates the energy of this world to the user's bidding. The arcane art may be different to martial arts, but its final goal was the same, where they want to use the energy in the air to their own bidding. That's how they create fireballs and other elemental spells and such. Cleansing Dan pill? If my guess is correct, this is a cleansing Dan pill used by us martial artists to clean out the filth inside our veins. Years ago, I was able to watch an auction selling this type of alchemic pill once. The final asking price was in the billions, so my father was greatly disappointed because he couldn't outbid the final winner. Byran explains, her face showing surprise and joy. Unlike his wife's mood, Ling Yun's brow had furrowed up into a knot instead of being happy. Wife, I'll go close the door first and not let anyone in. You stay here with our son and watch over him. Right now, the Ling family was at the tip of the iceberg. Any sudden movement or mistake would allow their opponents to catch on to it and make a mess of things, including ruining Ling Lang's evolution right now. Or maybe worse, murder them for these alchemic pills that's worth billions. The cleansing process took a very long time, by going from the afternoon all the way to the evening. Nevertheless, the flirt's done it now. He may be covered in a sticky layer of grime that turn off even his own mother, but he's done it. Mom, I just had a look inside the bottle, and there's more than one of these pills. We can save one for Smile, so you and Father should split the rest. Ling Lang offers after coming out of the shower. He felt incredibly refreshed, like all those years of drinking and smoking had never happened. Byran simply gawked her eyes at the container and didn't try to reach over. Instead, she grew hesitant, like she's struggling inside. Truth be told, the woman does want to try one of these alchemic pills for herself and grow strong as well. That way their family would have another trump card against those foes lurking in the shadow. Ling Lang seems to catch on to his own mother's woes and quickly cocked that iconic grin of his. I know you want to stay with Father, but look at me, Mom. Don't I look healthier than ever? That pill didn't just push out the dirty stuff inside me. It also did something to my health, and I feel great. Just look at how pearly white my skin is. Don't you want to feel healthy and pretty? I'm sure Dad would love to see that too, don't you think? That did it. All females are prone to fall victim to any beauty products, especially when it could help turn back the age of time on their skin. Without hesitation, Byran picked out one of the green ones and held it before herself. General Ling Kaiyuan's birthday. Husband, these Dan pills. Byran moves her mouth like she wanted to say something but couldn't due to the content. She's obviously worried about something. It's okay. You don't need to say more. In a few days, it will be Father's birthday. Don't forget to invite our niece to the party. As for the 4 smaller clans, don't invite anyone from their end. Bai Ran immediately showed a surprised look because this meant her husband intends to side with Bai Yin and disregard the four smaller clans. Make no mistake, this was no easy decision. After all, they're all part of high society, and openly snubbing that side meant their Ling household would be telling everyone they are not on good terms. Undoubtedly, more enemies would take advantage of this fact later on and use this opening. Okay, I'll tell Yin Yin this. I'm sure she will be happy to attend if I ask. Bai Ran sighs a breath of relief. This was exactly the trouble she had. On one hand, she wanted to look out for the benefits of her own family. On the other, she wants to protect Bai Yin and help the lass. Picking one meant damaging the other. Regardless of her choice, someone's going to get the shorter end of the stick. Now it's all become a non-problem thanks to their boy's sudden surprise entry into the equation. Hotel. Bai Xiaochen was currently fast asleep while nesting himself in Bai Yan's lap. This little thing, he's so cute while asleep. He must be dreaming about something delicious. Look at that drool and happy face. Bai Yin thought, pleased to have her son around again. Bad little rice. As if in compliance to the comment from the lady, the little guy suddenly started to furrow his forehead in displeasure. You're stealing my snacks again. I won't play with you anymore. Bai Yin, this little guy, even when he's dreaming, he's still fighting with little rice over their snacks? But before the woman could go further in her own train of thoughts, a series of phone rings catches her ear. Bai Yin didn't want to wake her son up, so those hands moved fast. However, the number on the screen wasn't one she recognizes. Sure, she did give the cell number to Ling Lang, her cousin, but this new one didn't match up with the flirt's ID. Abruptly, another thought hit the lady like a train wreck because not long ago Big Bear had asked her for the phone to use. It can't be. Thinking of the possibility that her heart wanted, Bai Yin carefully climbed out of the bed without waking her boy, moving quickly and silently towards the direction of bathroom like a sneaky housewife that's about to meet their secret lover. Once inside, and after pressing the receive button, Yin Yin, the voice that came through was low and hoarse, yet it carried a hypnotic tone that sucked the very air out of the lady's throat. It's too familiar and causes her eyes to tear up. Yin Yin, the man on the other end, didn't get a reply, so he called out again through the phone, this time carrying even more tenderness and yearning to the point it could melt a woman. I'm here. Bai Yin finally realizes she's being too quiet and muttered this out with sobbing tone. After a long pause on both sides, Yin Yin, I miss you. 8 years of yearning and separation. That's all he needed to convey his feelings. Not far away in the back mountain of the Water Clan's estate, a big orange cat was currently loafing around in the grasses and enjoying the soft breeze when it overheard that lovely beckoning. Immediately, the critter promptly looked up in surprise at the man who never showed such emotions. General Ling Keyuan's birthday, too. If anyone else were to be present then, they would surely be taken aback by how humanistic this cat was behaving. It's not normal to act this way for an animal, almost like its intelligence has been elevated beyond that of an animal. Deet Song, where are you now? Bai Yin whispers this, her fingers growing tighter in anticipation for the reply from the phone. I'm taking care of some business outside. Don't worry, I'll come as soon as I'm finished. Yin Yin, wait for me. The man's voice promptly made Bai Yin chuckle due to how apologetic it sounded. Okay, I'll wait for you to come to me, and if you need me, I'll go find you right away. Don't worry, I'm your man. I'll fix anything that comes my way and give you a safe haven. That's the initial promise he made to her, so he's going to see that through. Whether it be on Earth or the other world, it's all the same. The corner of Bai Yan's mouth curved upwards, her smile warm and glowing after that lovely cooing. I estimate Xiaochen already told you the full story. When you disappeared that day outside the Demon City, I immediately called State Teacher back for help. But for some reason, I could only come to the Earth 8 years prior. I've been following you since. Many times I watched you dive into danger without thinking it through. I hated the experience. On more than one occasion, I had the urge to drag you into bed and give some sense into you. When spouting this sentence, Bai Yin could hear the gritting teeth of her man through the phone. He's really angry with me, isn't he? I'm sorry, Deet Song. This would be a rare occasion for her in not arguing with Deet Song, which in kind tempered some of that flair in his attitude. At the beginning, I lost hope after the Bai clan was destroyed. So, in order to avenge them, I would pay anything to grow strong. I know the Tian clan has a strong backing, but I did not know how strong they were, so all I could do was to improve and improve. If I survive, then I could avenge them, and if I die, then I don't have to live with such pain. But then I went to the other world, the world where you lived. I met my brother by Xiao, Chu Yi, and my Shifis along with many more people. It's your presence that made me want to try living so that I can be with you. I'm grateful that you didn't stop me from going to the other world where I got meaning to my life. If I didn't, I would have ended myself even after my revenge. There's nothing in this world binding me here. Bai Yan's now afraid of death, afraid of leaving all these friends and families behind. Therefore, in order to avoid such an outcome, Bai Yan has put her all into growing stronger again, but for a real reason and not just blind vengeance. On the mountain of the Water Clan, Ditsong had grasped onto his own chest like he's unable to breathe due to the words coming off of the cell phone. His wife's confession wouldn't stop ringing in his ear, and it's killing him, all for one simple reason. That so-called backing in causing the Bai clan's demise was the Water Clan itself. Though he turned back time and came to Earth 8 years prior, he couldn't change the tragedy because that had occurred already. Also, he's not the true young lord of the Water Clan, so what right does he have with messing in fate of those living here? General Ling Kaiyuan's birthday, 3, that said about the past. Ditsong also knows the future remains fluid and ever-changing like the flow of a river. He couldn't change the events that's already set in stone, due in part thanks to state teachers' advice. But this Demon King would be damned if he doesn't set the future in proper arrangement for his wife. Didn't those people want to use the Water Clan as their backing? Humph! I will have them fall heavily and deeply into the ground before I leave. Yin Yin, believe me, I will solve everything for you. I won't let them off without settling this blood debt. I will also let them have a taste of the pain you suffered. Some things could not be solved with mere death. Only by making them suffer immeasurably while being alive would it be enough to quell that hatred. I'll wait for you to come, Bai Yan says, her voice growing ever so more yearning like her own husband's. But yearning was yearning. It won't help even if they kept talking through a phone. Therefore, the conversation quickly ended after that when they hung up. If Yin Yin calls again, remember to hand me the phone. Ditsong tosses the device over to the big orange cat after hanging up. Meow. The cat complies by calling out, his paws resting on the phone screen and poking at it like a human child playing with a toy. Ditsong didn't mind the fact that his pet was playing with the device. As long as he knows someone he trusts was on watch for Bai Yan's call then, that was enough. Cocking a devious smirk, Tian clan, Fu clan, and the Wen clan? I will definitely make all 3 of your clans suffer for making my wife endure those grievances. General Ling Kaiyuan's position within this nation was very high. Even though they rarely meddled in the political affairs of each day-to-day business, it still doesn't mean their household had fallen from grace. In fact, it's the opposite. They've never been higher. This time around for the old general's birthday, the family has arranged for a huge banquet to invite those of high assignments. Take, for example, the leading figure of this nation. Though the #1 official couldn't come attend in person, they still sent a representative to congratulate the old general, thus giving the Ling household immeasurable glory in the public's eye. Despite the desire to flatter such an influential family and its members, those attending wouldn't dare to bring gifts tonight. They've been told specifically not to today, plus they all know the sort of position the old general was in. If they did bring gifts, then it would only give the political opponents opportunity to prod at the old general, claiming he's dirty and easy to bribe. Virum. It's then the guests that were still heading inside were stopped in their tracks because a luxurious-looking SUV had pulled into the driveway. Normally expensive cars were commonplace for these wealthy and influential guests, but the car plate was something special in of itself. Who would carry the word rich in its plate numbering? No one, that's why. For one thing, it would be ridiculously hard to get such a combination. Secondly, such a taunting plate name would rouse jealousy from anyone who had an ounce of influence. Yet this guy did, and he's openly flaunting it before high society. But their curiosity was soon quelled once the driver, stepped out of the car. Wearing a casual set of brand name's clothes, the guy was definitely handsome. No one could deny that. However, what's important was the fact that they all recognized who this one was, the younger son of General Ling Kaiyuan of the Ling household. There are two sons currently holding the helms. The eldest would of course be Ling Yun, the flirt's father who majored in politics. Meanwhile, the younger one would be the business tycoon who currently dominates the businesses under their name. To be clear, this sort of arrangement wasn't out of thin air. Each son took after their parents well. Ling Yun had his father's talent in politics. Meanwhile, the younger one had the mother's talent in business. The old madam of the Ling household wasn't just some flower vase put up for looks. She's actually a famed business tycoon in of herself who carved a business empire before marrying the old general. General Ling Kaiyuan's birthday. But who would really care for a middle-aged man anyways? The ladies here are more captivated by the next man to come off of that SUV. Specifically, Ling Lang, who's the only adult male in the Ling household who hasn't married yet. They're showing love star eyes at the handsome flirt who immediately captivated the female guest's eye. Unfortunately for them, though, their hopes aren't going to come to fruition tonight. Instead of greeting all those fancying females, the guy remains preoccupied with opening the passenger seat door for his important guest. For a moment, all the men attending the birthday banquet was gobsmacked by how beautiful and stunning this new lady was. To be fair, there are no shortages of beautiful women on Earth due to cosmetic surgery, but this sort of beauty didn't fall into that sort of a bracket. It's too natural, too pristine, and unique. Who is this woman? Why is she with Ling Lang? I bet she's Ling Lang's new girlfriend. He changes it so often, I bet this is another one. Trust me, this woman won't last more than a few days. The Ling household is so prestigious. Only a proper lady would be able to step through its door. There are only so many females of high society in this capital city of the country. The very fact that they don't recognize Bai Yin leads them to believe she's not part of their circle. And what happens to those who don't mingle well in their circle? Obviously, they would be shoved away and frowned upon, especially in this case by the females attending the banquet. You could literally see the jealous flames burning in their eyes. Bai Yin naturally overheard their gossiping discussions due to her sharp ears. Even so, she could care less and instead turn around to help a certain little steam bun off the vehicle. Mother! Bai Xiaoqin's been trying hard to push his side of the door open when he got dragged out from his mother's side. The boy actually almost fell over due to this. It couldn't be helped that the rascal would appear so pitiful and teary. This would be the first time he rode on a car, and it nearly scared him to death. Then the tin can wouldn't open its door, which only made him more frantic because he didn't like the fact that he's trapped somehow. Sir Ling Lang is playing with some woman that has a child this time around? In that case, I bet she won't even last a day if she's that old. The old general would be furious if he finds out. Che, and what's up with the way he calls his own mom? Who calls mother nowadays? Does that kid think he's in some kind of old martial arts drama or something? The voices of these people were very sour to the ear regardless of their gender, apparently upset by the fact that Bai Yin and her son got a ride with the flirt. Then again, this outcome was to be expected. Whether it be men or female here tonight, they had one or more reason to get close to Ling Lang, like setting up a marriage arrangement or trying to form a business relationship. There's just so many benefits to getting close to the Ling household. You've been looking like you're in a daze for a while already. Can you come back to your senses now? Bai Yin asked her foster sister who stood there in a blank state. Bai didn't really come back to reality though. Stiffly turning her head like a robot, the young lass still showed the same disbelieving dull look in those eyes. Sister Bai Yin, I still need a minute to digest this. Bai Yin dragged her out tonight and took her to see Bai Xiaoqin. Originally, the poor girl thought the nephew would only be a little baby. Yet it turns out he's already so old, so how could she not be surprised beyond compare? General Ling Kaiyuan's birthday 5. If you don't come along, then I'll leave you in this place. Bai Yin knew she had to tease this foster sister of hers. Otherwise, they would be standing here till the next morning. Bai immediately sped forward like a good Girl Scout. She didn't even want to give that idea even a sliver of hope. Bai Ling Lang also saw the dazed face of the lass and decides to join in on the fun. However, his voice suddenly stopped and got uncertain after noticing something. Are you able to practice again? Ling Lang could not feel these before, but ever since he consumed the green pill from Bai Xiachen, then he's been able to discern certain aspects of everyone around himself. For example, his own mother Bai Ran was a martial artist, and the way she moved was certainly different from all the rest. It's very precise, like it's always ready to move for combat. Startled in her initial response, Bai Yi quickly realizes what he's asking and got all flushed in the face. Ling Lang silently felt relieved at the good news. That's wonderful to hear. You are my aunt's apprentice, so it's good to know you have recovered. When my mother offered to help you and you refused, we've always been worried. That comment only made the lass hang her head even lower. It's true she refused the aid of the Ling household, mainly because she didn't want others to gossip around, saying she's only out to steal other people's wealth. That would be a smear on Bai Yu who brought her up from the streets, a sin Bai Yi would never allow for her late teacher. Therefore, the lass would rather live in a basement than to take charity from others. Those females at the entrance were already jealous to begin with due to Bai Yan's presence. But this time they're downright showing contempt for Bai Yi, who got the opportunity to speak with Ling Lang. In fact, it's so bad that one of them actually openly chuckled for everyone to hear. Ling Lang's footsteps suddenly stopped at the noise, turning to glare at the individual woman. Your parents never taught you that it's not okay to mock others behind their back? Just listening to you all talk about others is hurting my ear and making you all look very ugly. Sure enough, the smile in those ladies' faces disappeared. They couldn't believe this for one. How could the flirt hear their conversation when it's so low? In reality, though, the average person wouldn't be able to. The reason why Ling Lang could in this case was due to the fact that he's evolved into a real, genuine martial artist. The very same type that could break rocks and chop bones with his fist, that kind. Merely picking on some noise nearby had become an easy task for him after consuming that green pill. Sir Ling Lang, you misunderstood us, One of the females in a bright red dress wanted to explain, but was cut off by a voice from inside the manor. Ling Lang, why are you not coming inside yet? Recognizing who this individual was, the sorry excuse of a guest that wanted to make an excuse stopped in her tongue. She's now looking on with delight at the expected drama that's going to unfold. Mrs. Ling is here. I like to see how that woman with a brat tagging along is going to play this. She's definitely going to embarrass herself. Coming out of the manor was none other than Bai Ran, of course. She saw her son, so she called out, but her gaze had locked onto Bai Yan right away and then shifted to the little figure standing next to her niece. Immediately, Bai Ran got all elated in the face as she quickly walked over to reach out for a big, affectionate hug. Yin Yin, I knew you would come today. Your uncle has been waiting for you already. This child is Xiachen, is he not? How lovely is he? The boy got your eyes, you know. Granny Ran, you are so young and good-looking. Other people could easily mistake you as my mother's sister if you stand next to her. General Ling Kaiyuan's birthday, 6. Bai Xiachen has never been shy since he was born and would honey up to anyone he meets. Therefore, he had no issue buttering up this newfound relative of his. Though Bai Ran herself knows the little guy only said those words in order to please herself. Nevertheless, it's working like flower pollen to a bee. She's very happy, and that's making her mood very delightful. This kid, he's such a sweet talker and so lovable. Yin Yin, all of you should be tired by now after a long ride. Let's go inside first, it's windy out here. Just like that, the anticipated drama for these sour guests were promptly swept away after this brief greeting. Their faces were frozen on the spot and unsure of what to say. In particular was the bit about Bai Ran saying Bai Yan's uncle was waiting inside. Anyone with a brain would realize this young lady and her kid was some sort of relative to the Ling household. It can't be. She's Sir Ling Lang's cousin? Mom, just now these people were talking about cousin behind her back. Ling Lang suddenly speaks up and points to the bunch nosy bitches near the entrance. They not only said Bai Yan is my girlfriend, but they also tried to insult her. Bai Ran's smile disappeared like a magic show in that moment. She's glaring at the bunch. You misunderstood. We did not mean any of that. We didn't know she's Sir Ling Lang's cousin. The lady wearing the bright red dress who openly chuckled spoke again, her demeanor awkward and losing color by the second. Faintly nodding. I see. You don't need to explain. From what I can see, all of you don't want to attend anyways, since you've been standing around for so long on the outside. In that case, my father-in-law's birthday doesn't need anyone that doesn't wish to stay. I will oblige your wish. All of you don't need to attend now. Son, go ahead and send these guests away. After giving this dismissing order, the lady of the house promptly reached over to grab Bai Yin and the steam bun's hand to lead them inside. She's back to her old joyous self, like the unhappy moment didn't occur. Come, let's go inside. Quit standing there and come inside too. I'm sure you're getting cold too. Bai heard that, of course, despite how surreal this all seems to her. However, the last didn't follow like most would assume, and instead, she turned to Ling Lang, who stood beside herself. Making a shy face, Ling Lang, do you want me to help you show them out? In cases like these, a flirt like the guy should have picked up on the lass's behavior, since he's known to be a playboy. Yet he didn't. In fact, he's downright oblivious in this situation. It's not like Ling Lang was a dunce, though. Rather, the females who pursue him are all very open and mature in these sorts of relationships. That's great. You can help me then. Just don't let these people bother my cousin. Soft as a mosquito, her voice was so quiet that it would be difficult to catch there. Fortunately, Ling Lang's ear had improved greatly since his rebirth and heard it. Towards the two's lovey-dovey interaction, Bai Yin had caught it when she swung her head around before entering the old manor. It's not difficult for the lady to see the pink sparks flying in the air, and for that, she's starting to get some ideas in mind. Mother, Bai Xiaqin's call suddenly brings the woman back to reality. What's the matter? She asked by looking down. Does mother like any a lot? Bai Xiaqin scratches the back of his head due to the oddity of him saying that. He's just not comfortable with that name since the other world had Chui who liked to play with him and cause trouble together. Bai Yin shows a faint smile like someone reminiscing the past. She could be counted as one of the most caring people I know on earth. When your grandmother passed away, it was who took care of me. She's clearly younger than me, but she did everything nonetheless for me. I was foolish, not knowing when to cherish what I had until now. General Ling Kaiyuan's birthday, 7. Can you take her with us? I don't want to see you sad, mother. Bai Xiaqin grasped onto his mother's hand, showing how concerned he was of her well-being by saying that. I'm afraid that's not possible, Bai Yin says, her face showing disappointment over her own words. But before I leave, I will make sure to arrange everything. She will be worry-free for the rest of her life. That's all she could do for her foster sister if they aren't able to take Bai along. Breaking through the world barrier was no easy task, and it's like Bai Yin knows a surefire way to do just that either. Dear! It's then Bai Ran calls out after locating her husband's presence, thus bringing the pair's whispering conversation to an end. Ling Yin wasted no time in walking over at the beckoning. His eyes were all smiles after seeing who has arrived. This girl should be Bai Yin, right? You don't look like your mother very much, so I didn't recognize you for a second. Guffawing a laugh, the man attempts to break the ice by trying to be funny. Giving her husband a jab in the side, Bai Ran shoots a look as any wife would do in these embarrassing cases. How could anyone be exactly the same even if they're parent and daughter? Yin Yin is not like my sister, but it's fine as long as she's not like that one Sean. Clearly, Bai Ran's opinion of that coward has fallen to the level where she wants to vomit even at the mention. I'm only just kidding, don't mind me. Ling Yin laughs again like a silly elder. I remember the last time we met you were only up to my waist. To think you've already got a son of your own in a blink of an eye. Smiling in return to as thanks for the warm reception. Uncle, everyone will eventually grow up. At that, the host of this party only smiled and said no more. This girl sure changed a lot. As a kid, she was so clever and smart, a total troublemaker, and now she's very calm and mature. That event likely changed her personality. Hello, granduncle. Bai Xiaqin finally chimes in with his happy-go-lucky self. I am so envious of granduncle. You were able to see mother's younger self. Ling Yin actually didn't know why the boy would say that, and asked for a follow-up. Why is that? Because back then Mother still hasn't experienced that tragedy yet. I never see Mother like that. In my view, Mother has always been courageous and strong, never needing anyone to help. I sometimes wish me and Father can be that reliable. That way Mother will rely on us sometimes. Bai Yan's heart inwardly trembled in regards to that comment. Tightly hugging her son, she felt so happy to have this sensible child as her boy, to the point it's making her feel guilty. Ling Yun's face grew even more surprised. Before Ling Lang mentioned you are not like a normal child. Now I can see why he said that. Xiachen, you're much more mature for your age by thinking that way. Bai Xiachen giggled delightfully at that. Mother suffered too much. If I'm not more sensible, then it will only cause my mother more worry. Ling Yun's been left astounded at this point. He's very envious of Bai Yan having such a filial son, while he himself had such a heartache of a flirt. Is Yin Yin here? An old voice eventually came from the rear, causing Bai Yan to turn around and see that old figure slowly strolling down from the second-floor staircase. Dad, it's Yin Yin. Haha, it's great that Yin Yin is here. I haven't seen this child in more than a decade. General Ling Kaiyuan's birthday, 8. Yin Yin sure have grown compared to her old child self. She's so mature now, but then you're still the focus of the crowd whenever you come. I remember when I first got a glimpse of you, I was wowed by your cute and adorableness. If only you were my daughter's niece, then you would be able to become my granddaughter. Ling Kaiyuan's boisterous laugh was refreshing and lively in this moment. Dad! Ling Yin got all sweaty in the face like an embarrassed son. He doesn't want his old man's words to scare away the lady who only just arrived. Am I wrong? Back then this lass was a real eye-catcher. When little Ling Lang saw her, the first thing he did was cry to everyone, saying he will marry her and make Yin Yin his wife. But this isn't old society anymore, so marrying members of their own family isn't allowed anymore. Otherwise the babies will be born mentally handicapped. The old general didn't let up, though, after spouting all that and huffed a few more grunts. Oh, why does it have to be this way? If only Yin Yin isn't Ran Rant's niece, then I would be able to take her as my granddaughter-in-law. What a pity, what a pity. This time it's no longer just Ling Yin who got all black and awkward anymore. Bai Yin, as well, was making a what-the-hell face. Dad, I'm rather glad Yin Yin is my niece. It's not like you don't know my son's personality. If we put Yin Yin with him, then wouldn't be the same as ruining her. Yin Yin just came, so don't scare her. What if she makes a run for it because of what you say? Bai Ran really does worry about this because her hand had already grasped onto Bai Yan's sleeve in case the girl makes a run for it. Ling Kaiyuan just scoffs another laugh like it's not a problem. I'm only joking, just a hoke. All right, I still need to introduce her to everyone. Attention please, attention please. This is my daughter-in-law's niece, and next to her is her son. Don't get any idea about them, all right? Otherwise, I'll be the first to disagree. Originally, some of those nearby were already getting funny ideas, but after the old general's introduction and the warning underneath, they immediately lost the idea. For them who were after wealth and power, taking in a mother and her child was nothing especially hard in their view. Just another mouth to feed. Come, come, come. Ling Kaiyuan smiles and waves for Bai Yin and the steam bun over. Though a little taken aback by the behavior, Bai Yin nevertheless went ahead to move forward. She didn't have the heart to refuse such a loving and silly old man. Yin Yin, please go ahead and call me Grandpa from now on, like Ling Lang that rascal does. Grandpa here doesn't have anything special for our first meeting, so I can only give you this. It's a jade. I do hope you like it. In an instant, Bai Yin suddenly found the world to be extremely small after seeing the jade in question. Unlike the others who showed envious looks when staring at the precious object, she, on the other hand, recognizes it. A few days ago, she had only just arrived back on Earth and needed money. In order to remedy the issue, she specifically sold a jade in her possession to Ling Lang to use as a present for the old grandpa. As a result of that, the old general would on multiple occasions flaunt the precious trinket to his peers and made all his friends envious. Oh, Yin Yin, some time ago, Smile almost got hurt. The old general then points to his son and daughter. These two wanted to hide that incident from me, thinking I would get too worried. They really think I wouldn't find out? I may be old, but not useless. I know you're the one who saved Smile. I have nothing but thanks to you. This jade, I cherish it greatly, but compared to my grandchild's life, I can't think of anything more valuable to give. The One Clan's intrusion, 1. Ling Kaiyuan had already gotten someone to value this jade prior to the banquet tonight. Its value was immeasurable according to the inspector. Grandpa, the flirt had just come through the entrance when he saw his old grandfather pulling out the item. Immediately, he couldn't help but chuckle at this scene. I don't think I've said it before, but this jade was given to me by cousin here. You're technically returning it to its original owner there, Grandpa. Sure enough, the old general's face froze into an iceberg level of awkwardness. He's embarrassed at his own mistake. This, retracting that old hand, I'm sorry, Yin Yin, I didn't know it was from you originally. I'll look for something else. There's no need, Bai Yin shakes her head. It's good enough that I know you have the heart Grandpa Kaiyuan. I'm not short on anything. Ling Lang was the first to complain about that comment. Well, that's obvious. Cousin, you have so much stuff that it's making me feel poor, you know? The fact that you can give Shachindan pills as snack is enough to make many go crazy. But if you do want to give me something then, Bai Yin pauses to organize her own words. When I eventually leave this place, do look after EE for me. I hope Ling Lang cousin here could do that. This way my sister won't feel so lonely without me by her side. Bai Yi had also come in at this point when this conversation started. Immediately, the lass's eyes got all teary red because she knew what it meant. Truly, the poor girl didn't want to think about the future and has been avoiding subject. After all, Yi only had Bai Yin left as a family. She is no one else. Don't worry, Bai Yin. As your cousin, I naturally have the duty to look after your foster sister. I will take good care of her. Ling Lang pats his own chest to convey confidence. Bai Yin didn't respond right away. Instead, she gets all meaningful in her smile while facing the flirt. Then how come she still suffered those grievances while I was away during this period? Ling Lang's voice stalled over that remark, his handsome face showing embarrassment and shame. Over the past 10 years, their Ling household had on several occasions offered to help Bai Yi. However, the lass would always reject the kind offer. One for being not wanting to drag the Ling family down with herself for fear of those enemies returning. Secondly, she also wanted to keep her self-esteem and be able to stand on equal footing with Ling Lang. Anyone with a sharp eye could tell Bai Yi had the hots for the flirt. Sister Bai Yin, you've misunderstood them. Hurrying over with a panicked face, Bai Yi quickly steps in to defend her crush. They've helped me already. I didn't want to accept it, but I know for a fact that they've secretly did a lot for me in the background. That's all Bai Yin needed to hear. She couldn't stay on Earth, but she does want someone to help support her foster sister from a mental and spiritual level. After all, one's mental health was just as important as their physical one. The former she herself couldn't give, so it could only be relied on someone else. In this case, it would be Bai Yan's cousin. While this family was having their own little fun conversation in the banquet hall, the rest of the attendees weren't acting so calm anymore. The gaze coming off of these guests were burning with desire and were locked onto Bai Yin like hawks meeting a treasure box. Miss Bai Yin, do you have more jade of such excellent quality? I'm willing to pay your asking price if you do. The One Clan's intrusion, too. Bai Yin contemplated the idea before nodding slightly to the one who asked. I do. In a few days come see Ling Lang. I will have him hold on to what I have for sale. She didn't want to openly sell her jades on Ling Kaiyuan's birthday. That would be rude and unfit for tonight's celebration. Of course, my jade won't be cheap either. They're no ordinary gemstone like you find elsewhere. They're known as spirit jades. Spirit jade? Isn't the one here an imperial jade? Imperial jade, a highly coveted type of jade that's able to fetch astronomical prices due to its rarity in modern-day times. It's also one of the reasons why Ling Kaiyuan would flaunt his newfound treasure to his friends. Such gemstones aren't something money could easily buy. There's a limited number of supplies on the market, and even then, the price would be beyond belief. Grandpa Ling, you can tell by now, can't you? Bai Yin didn't answer the person's question, and instead turned to the old general for an explanation, slowly nodding his old head. It's as she says, the jade is not some imperial jade. As you all know, my body's been feeling unwell in recent days. That's why I didn't want to meet anyone and was about to cancel this banquet tonight. But do I look sick to any of you now? It's because of this jade in my hand. I'm feeling refreshed and rejuvenated after getting my hands on it. When one grows old, they are bound to be stricken with aches and pains. Often this would be untreatable. That's just how the human body works. But this spirit jade from Bai Yin could rectify that flaw by moistening his cells with spiritual particles. Everything in this world has a soul. The same is true for this jade. Materially, it's no different from an imperial jade like this guest says, but it's also a jade that's able to bring in the spiritual energy around us. For that reason, Grandpa Ling is able to benefit by indirectly absorbing the spiritual energy as well, thus helping him feel rejuvenated. So what's everyone's take on its value now? Naturally, the claim seemed outlandish in the eyes of these people, but the proof was there with the old general standing before them. The word of the powerful and influential beats any scientific reasoning. That's how the world works and will always work. Ling Lang, I'll get a few more of these jades ready. You can sell it to them as you please. Afterwards, give the money to EE. Stunned by this, Bai EE tears up immediately. Sister Bai Yin, you don't need to say more. I can't stay in this place, so making sure you have enough to care for yourself is the least I can do. It's not like I can use the money anyways. But you still have Xiachen, you can give it to him. Xiachen will be leaving with me too. The place we're heading to can't use such money. Are you expecting me to hand the money over to the Wen clan instead? Bai Yin smirks sarcastically at the mention of that family. I would rather burn it than to give them a penny. That only made Bai EE sound more pitiful as she started to sob. Sister Bai Yin, where are you going? Can't you take me with you? Following that plead, Bai Ran and the rest also started focusing on Bai Yin because they're getting curious. Nowadays, taking a plane abroad was a simple gesture of pressing a button through the computer. Why would anyone claim they wouldn't be able to use money? I can't tell you the details for the time being. If fate lets us, then we will meet again in the future. Bai Yin consciously glanced over to Ling Lang. I hope you will eventually be able to get others to care for you, instead of only you caring for others. Don't worry about me, EE. I will live very well. The One Clan's intrusion, 3. Gripping the bottom of her skirt, Bai EE felt tied inside her heart over this reality. She's unable to let go. It wasn't easy for the poor lass to reunite with her older sister again, yet she's leaving again so soon? How could she give that up with a snap? Sir. It's then a servant came up to Ling Yun's side and whispered a few words into the host's ear. Immediately, the middle-aged man got all gloomy in the face. What's the matter? Did something happen? The old general saw the change in expression and quickly asked his son with a deep frown. First turning to look at Bai Yin, then back to his old man who's still looking at himself. Ling Yun started to explain with a troubled face. The Wen clan, Tian clan, and Fu clan. They're all here. Dad, do you want me to drive them away? No, Bai Xiachen suddenly cuts in using his childish voice. Don't drive them away. Let them inside. I want to see how these shameless people would try to hurt my mother. This, Bai Ran the aunt, got all worried instead of complying. Yin Yin, why don't we have them leave instead? It's all right, let them in. Cocking a brow, Bai Yin looks down at her boy with a sly face, since she could already imagine the outcome. The three families coming together could only mean one thing. They're here to make trouble. Why should they hide from it, if that's the case? It would just be a matter of time before they butt heads anyways. In no time at all, the group of ill-minded people have walked into everyone's view. The one leading would be Tian Wind and his daughter Tian Foreign, since they're the de facto leader of the 4 small clans. Immediately, the pair had noticed the steam bun who's been eyeing them, which made Tian Foreign the spoiled brat fall to the ground. Daddy, why is he here? The bitch exclaims in panic. They came today to shut down Bai Yu's supposed daughter who returned after 10 years of being missing. Yet instead, they come to meet Bai Xiachen for a second time in this event. Making a frown, when Shan promptly shuts down his daughter down, since it's embarrassing for others to see this. Quiet. It couldn't be helped in Wen Fei's case. She's not someone who doesn't know manners. She does and know she messed up by crying out like that in public. The issue, though, was her mental state. She's been suffering every day since Bai Yin forced fed her that poison. thus not only making her unstable and losing an unhealthy level of weight, she's also miserable and wanted a vent. "Who is this boy to you?" When Sean gloomily asks his former daughter after glaring down at the steam bun. Smiling with derisiveness, Yin bluntly replied, "My son, my son." These words outrage the coward. Going livid and green, when Sean lashes out with vigor in his voice, "You rebellious girl, you bring shame to me. How old is this boy? You dare say he's your son? Are you implying you had him when you were only 14? How can you face your deceased mother by committing such disgrace?" The One Clan's intrusion, for Wah. The crowd instantly flew into an uproar over this shocking truth. They assumed Yin would be around 40-something since her boy was already this old. To think she's a 20-something-year-old was unimaginable for them. After all, it's not surprising to find a middle-aged woman to maintain their face this well since there's so much beauty products around in the market. Against the reprimand, Yin only scoffs a snicker. "The one to be sorry to my mother is you, isn't it? Originally, you claimed to be in love with my mother. Then when crisis strikes the Bai clan and my mother, you abandoned her in a blink of an eye. How do you have the face to lecture me when you commit such disgusting acts?" Taking the steam bun's hand, Yin pushes forward with strength in her posture. "You said that no man in this world would sacrifice themselves for a woman. If you had to choose, you would always choose power over a woman. Those are your own words, is it not?" Now looking back at things, Yin really does find it ridiculous on how selfish this man was and why her mother would like someone like that. When Shan's face had gone green by this point and how livid he felt. "You unfilial girl, I am your father, yet you would talk to me that way? I do love power more, but that doesn't mean I don't love your mother. If I didn't love her then, why would I marry her?" Yin only chuckled at that retort. "For you, a woman is no more than a tool for pleasure, is it not? If you really did love my mother, then you wouldn't have remarried as soon as she's passed. Not only that, you also cheated on her while she was pregnant and produced an illegitimate daughter on the outside." After the One Clan moved to this capital city, only when Fei Fei and her mother Chai Moon have followed along. That meant aside from Yin herself and the Ling household, who doesn't like to spread rumors, no one here really knew there was another daughter, nor did they know when Sean had another wife prior. "Yin, shouldn't you blame your own mom first if my dad cheated on her? If she's that good, then how could a husband go look elsewhere? At the end of the day, it's your mom who failed in her duty as a wife. That's why I was born." When Fei Fei suddenly cuts in, her voice venomous and condescending. To sum it up, she wants to pin the blame on Yu who's already dead, while they themselves had done nothing wrong like usual. Fei Fei. When Sean snaps back at her own daughter, since he had more sense than the girl herself, he could explode from humiliation at this point. Despite the outburst, when Fei Fei continues to protest like someone that didn't know why they did wrong. "Dad, I am helping you. You shut up for me first. There's nothing for you to say here." When Sean says in exasperation, "The Wen clan's intrusion, 5. Chai Moon is such a gentle and clever woman. Why is this daughter of mine not inheriting her positives? Fei Fei is always bringing me trouble." The coward thought, disappointment starting to flicker in those eyes. As expected, when Fei Fei did not shout anymore after being yelled at, she's still very much afraid of her old man in this family. Nevertheless, the glare she's showing against Yin remains strong. Meanwhile, for the rest in the banquet hall, everyone attending has been blown away with incredulousness. This was especially true for those madams and ladies here tonight. For one thing, none of them would like their man going out to cheat, but to hear someone like when Fei Fei acting so strong and just while the main daughter stood around simply baffles them. Che, a husband stealer will always be a husband stealer. It's bad enough the guy would cheat on the wife, but for the husband stealer to pin the burden on the wife is just unbelievable. This is a real eye-opener. I know, right? Who would even think like that? This is honestly the first time I met someone so shameless. When Fei Fei's expression had gone green after hearing those whispering voices, immediately, she shoots a warning glare towards those madams in question. How dare they talk about us like this? These are all that Bayu's fault. Why should we bear it when my mother suffered so much? "Mother!" Bai Xiaochen pulls at Bai Yan's sleeve, his eyes smiling. I've learned a lot today. Originally, I thought she was only a mad dog. But to be able to turn black into white is truly a skill. Such a person, how are they even able to live this long? Reaching down to ruffle her son's hair. Because this is a peaceful society. 10 years ago, the two other clans was only able to destroy the Bai clan because they haven't integrated with modern society yet, but 10 years later, they're now part of the system. So what does that mean? It means they could no longer openly fight within the boundaries of the city, otherwise it would bring in the unwanted attention of the authorities. Nevertheless, it doesn't mean they couldn't resort to assassination. Anything goes as long as it's not on the surface and in the shadows. When Shan, Tian Wind, who also came tonight, smirks as he speaks, "You don't have to be this angry. I believe your daughter isn't the type to pull an underage birth. You don't know it yet, but this child is a member of the Water Clan. That brought the coward into a standstill. He, of course, knows the great name of the Water Clan, but for this kid to be a member of that great family, how is he supposed to take this news? Furthermore, when Fei just offended the boy, no matter what happens, it won't be good. The Water Clan? When Fei stutters this out, her face wild with horror. It must be a different Water Clan, it can't be that one, right? Tian Wind very much relished in the way these two are reacting. It helps his sullied soul after experiencing that incident in the hotel. Smiling in the face, as if there would be another Water Clan. However, I can conclude this girl isn't the boy's biological mother, though. I bet she's only using him to get close to the young lord since the boy's his son. If Bai Yin really did give birth to the future heir of the Water Clan, then why would their Tian clan be alive still? They would have been destroyed by now. From that fact alone, Tian Wind could conclude the relationship between the pair must be non-biological, perhaps even a lie. This boy, he's not only a member of the Water Clan, but the child of the current young lord? When Shan and when Fei both appeared frozen like a rock, their faces going white and green at the same time. Ridiculous, thought one, Dad. When Fei finally flew into a panic. Reaching to catch her father's sleeve, her eyes showed horror like never before. As the daughter of the Wind Clan, how could this bitch not know the importance of the Water Clan? In this country, almost every martial family or power must submit to the Water Clan lest they be crushed by their fellow peers. If I knew he was the little young lord of the Water Clan, then I would never have said those things. Why did I do that? Will he order his people to kill me? What will happen? No. Thinking up to here, when Fei's expression was bordering on the line of tears. She's ready to cry and lose her mind. Bai Ran the aunt heard this also, of course, since she's so close. Turning to stare at her niece Bai Yin. Yin, Xiachen, is he really the little young master of the Water Clan? Then your relationship with Xiachen, are you two really parent and child? They had only heard of Bai Yin say by Xiachen being her son. They never heard anything about them being blood-related. Perhaps a stepson? After all, a 20-something woman having an 8-year-old son was difficult to imagine. It's not unheard of, just difficult to comprehend when it's so close to home. Bai Yin didn't directly refute the idea. Instead, she looked down at her boy and thought for the proper wording. He is indeed my son. There's no question about that. As for his father, I guess you can say he's the young lord of the Water Clan. Ditsong came to Earth using a borrowed body and his own soul. Therefore, it's technically correct to say the young lord was the Steambun's father. Sure, biologically it's not, but the most important part wasn't the genetics, it's the bond they share and feeling they had for one another. Take, for example, adopted orphans. Would a parent consider such a child not their own after building up a bond? Of course not. Mom, why can't I understand anything what you're saying? Ling Lang rubbed his own temple with a frown. What is the Water Clan? And what is the young lord? What does some other family have to do with ours? Bai Ran simply smiled bitterly before answering her own son. Ling Lang, I only found out these things while your grandmother was still alive. The specifics I can't tell you, but I can only say one thing. This Water Clan, no one can afford to provoke them. No one can provoke. This warning made the flirt feel dizzy and light in the head because this would be the first time he's ever heard his mother rate another family so highly. Who could possibly be so dangerous that they're off limits? Wouldn't that make that water clan more powerful than the four martial clans here in this city? Lang Lang, you have also stepped into the realm of a martial artist now, so I'm sure you understand the power they wield. In terms of status, the members of the water clan would be equivalent to gods in these parts of the world. Do you understand now? Not even the government would want to get into a conflict with that family clan because they really do have people in their ranks like that, manipulating powers beyond our imagination. Thankfully, Byran had more head than his own son. Regarding that last bit, she only whispered it and made sure others couldn't hear. The flirt grew even more shocked in the eye as a result. In this world, there really are people who's able to train until they're gods. Mom is only telling you this because you're part of their world now. Don't tell your dad and sister, though. Whether or not Smile wants to be part of it will be her choosing. I want that girl to pick her own future. As for your dad, me and him, we just want to be normal people and live out our lives. Ling Lang nodded stiffly at that request, feeling a surge of courage like he's never had before. If there's really a way into godhood, then I will step into it. I'm a man, and a man must fight to the end. Ridiculous thought, too, however. It would not be until Ling Lang becomes an immortal at Bai Yan's level would he understand being a genuine cultivator wasn't the ending, but the beginning. The path of cultivation was never-ending, limited only by the individual's will and fortitude. Mom, I see then. Also, don't listen to their gibberish. Just look at cousin and how clingy Xiaochen is to her. There's no way they're not related. The flirt had a very good impression of this nephew, so he's all in on supporting the steam bun. And if others claim otherwise, well, he doesn't mind giving them a beating to teach the blabbermouth a lesson. Of course, the premise remains that he could come out on top during the fight, that is. Ho ho. The flirt's comment there didn't escape Tian Wen's ear, though, making a sly smirk after being indirectly called a liar. That's only because the little young master has an innocent heart and is easily deceived by others. Little young master, this woman is only trying to get close to you in order to carry out her bad intention. I also hope you can understand this point and not be fooled. After all, your father is a prestigious and important individual. Many would do anything to marry him, let alone cheat some young child to their advantage. Do you understand my meaning? Some of the guests may not understand what's going on still with the whole Water Clan detail, but this comment from Tian Wind was easy enough to grasp. Che, so this woman isn't the boy's biological mother? How dare she call someone a husband stealer when she's a husband stealer herself? What a hypocrite, calling someone else out when she herself is one as well. Bai Xiaochen had very good hearing, so he immediately got cold in the face when they started to gossip. As a way to vent his anger, the boy promptly rushed at the bastard who dares to downgrade his own mother by punching Tian Wind in the chest. Immediately, the guy loses his own balance and allowed the steam bun to sidestep to one side and trip him fully by kicking him in the ankle. Just like that, using two simple maneuvers, Bai Xiaochen was able to cause someone that's capable of flipping a car into falling heads over heels into the floor and making a mess of himself. Dad! Tian Foreign exclaims in shock over her own papa's untimely fall and wanted to help. However, the second she moved was when the steam bun struck with that cold, hard glare, thus causing her to freeze on the spot. This kid, he's so cuddly and cute in the face, yet those eyes are so frightening and terrifying. As if I wouldn't know who my mother is? Are you implying you know better than myself? Bai Xiaochen's childish voice slowly rang across the banquet hall, leaving it dead silent due to how oppressive it was, like a king facing his subjects. She is my biological mother, also me and my father's most precious person. My father only sent me here because he doesn't want mother to tarnish her own hands with your people's blood. That's his exact words. In that moment, Tian Wen's expression had gone deathly white. It made perfect sense to him when he suspected the steam bun to have a different mother. After all, the young lord of the Water Clan was known to be a sickly fella that rarely went out of the estate. How could a teen like Bai Yin back, then who had no backing or family left, meet someone so prestigious? On top of that, how come the Water Clan didn't discard his brother-in-law, who was the housekeeper of the Water Clan then? Who would keep their wife's enemy by their side? Nothing adds up, nothing. I know, it must be this woman's doing. She must have fed the kid some sort of drug to bend his mind to her will. That must be it. This sly wench, I will make her understand what it means to cross me. Slowly pulling himself together as he crawled up from the ground, Tion Wind didn't have the attention to contemplate why the boy would be able to hurt himself, and instead shot his daughter a signaling look. Understanding what her own dad wanted, Tion Foreign promptly stepped forward with a charming smile. "Little young master, my dad is only looking out for your own good. He knows you like this woman. That's why you're defending her in public. We can tell you understand, she's not your biological mother." Ridiculous thought. 3. Yin Yin. Ling Lang sounded a little anxious after that remark from the bitch. "How come you're not speaking up? Xiachen is still a child after all. How could he be as slick as that Tion Foreign?" But when he saw how relaxed and calm Bai Yin was by taking up a chair to sit for the show, Ling Lang didn't know what else to do. "Come on and sit. What are you all standing around for?" Bai Yin chuckles as she met the strange gazes coming her way. "We can relax and watch them play this out." Ling Lang was absolutely speechless. "You're that confident Xiachen will be able to handle this evil girl? Why wouldn't I be confident? My son and husband said I can rely on them. Why shouldn't I in that case?" The flirt didn't miss the pride in his cousin's voice and got a bit sour inside because he also got this strange feeling of wanting a son as well. Getting their own children to stand up for themselves was something any parent would like. "Oh, what to do? I also want to get married and have some kids all of a sudden." "Didn't you get divorced before?" Ling Lang suddenly thought of something and blurted this out. He's puzzled on why Bai Yin would have him look for Xiachen when she had a husband to help, cocking her head to one side like she's watching a dunce. "And why would you think that?" "Well, one wouldn't usually ask others to help look for their own child when their partner's already with their kid. Wouldn't you agree? I thought you and your husband were divorced. That's why you needed my help. Besides, you never mentioned anything about finding your husband either." "That's only because I didn't know my husband was coming. However, even if I did ask you to look for Deed Song, you likely won't be able to find him anyways." Upon being reminded of that seductive and handsome face, Bai Yan's lips would inexplicably curl into a warm smile. She's just that happy whenever things revolved around her own husband. Bai Xiachen didn't miss this change in his own mother's face, of course. He may be busy dealing with these shameless bastards, but he would never neglect Bai Yan's existence. Immediately, the boy's face got all sad and aggrieved at being neglected himself. Mother must be thinking of Batty Father again. In contrast, Bai Xiachen only found Tion Foreign's supposed charming smile to be disgusting and ugly once he turned around. "I remember you," Bai Xiachen cocks his little head to one side. "You're the evil woman who came with your father before. Didn't you learn not to appear before me? Or are you so brave that you're now trying to displace my bond with my real mother?" Tion Foreign's smile froze. "Little young master, you misunderstood. I did not. What's not to misunderstand? Don't think I can't see it. You're going after my batty father in order to seduce him, but look at yourself. You got neither ass nor chest. As if my batty father would even glimpse at you." Tion Foreign seems to have been extremely humiliated based on the way she's staring at the steam bun. Sadly for her, though, before she could even speak up in objection, the boy's threatening glare promptly shuts her down. "Xiachen," Bai Yin snaps out with a displeased expression. "Who taught you those words?" Without surprise, Bai Xiachen's face suddenly got all white from fright. He didn't mean to say those foul words in front of his mother. It's a slip of his tongue. "It's its father's dog who taught me." Blinking his eyes innocently, the rascal throws all the blame onto the poor golden retriever back over on Deed Song's side. As if he would dare say he learned it all from the books. That would be disastrous. Ridiculous thought for Deed Song's dog? Next time I see him, I'll have to teach that pup a lesson about teaching you that language. Such vulgar words. I will let you off the hook this time, since you're using it to describe Tion Foreign, but you're not allowed to continue learning those words, understand? Hearing Bai Yan's going to let himself off the hook, Bai Xiachen promptly flew into an elated grin. "I know my fault, mother. I will be a good baby boy and listen to you." Big Bear, who's been hiding in the shadows to act as the boy's shadow, almost lost his own balance then. He's seen firsthand how bratty and troublesome this little young master was at the Water Clan's estate. So in front of the young lord, he's a troublemaker. But in front of the young madam, he's a good baby boy? Isn't his ability to change too quickly? "Mother, Do you still remember those who hurt the Bai clan all those years ago? The steam bun asks, wanting to help avenge Bai Yan's family on Earth. Of course, the boy's not really going to kill them here tonight. Rather, he's going to dish out some proper punishment acceptable in this peaceful society, like how Deeth Song explained before. I remember those people, every face, every smirk. Bai Yin remembers it clearly like it from yesterday. That's awesome then. Bai Xiaoqin claps his hand once. Big Bear, you go summon the members from the Tian clan and Fu clan for my mother to distinguish. Also, doesn't Owen clan have that Chai Moon? Grab her here too. Tonight, he's going to let his mother experience the pleasure of exacting payback on these people reaped what they sow. Little young master, Tian Wind finally panicked. You can't do this, my brother-in-law is also part of your water clan. How can you do this to us? And she's not even your real mother. Why do you go out of your way to be exploited by an outsider? The steam bun only shot a cold glare at the idiot in question. Mother, Uncle Ling Lang, how come there are so many self-centered people here? I already said I am born from my mother, yet you continue to claim I am not. What? Are you claiming to have seen my mother or something? The man promptly shuts up. It's not like he could openly say he and the Fu clan destroyed the Bai clan and killed its members back then. Sure, stuff like that was normal back in the day for those who didn't participate in modern society, but they're now living in the city. Having their reputation tarnished wouldn't bode well for their family's future. No matter what, I know she's definitely not your real mother. Bai Xiaoqin simply chuckles at the ignorance of this fool. So my mother is not my mother. Is your daughter supposed to be my mother then? A stupid idea promptly struck Tian Win's brain. Regarding his own status today, most of it was due to his wife's connection with the Water Clan, therefore his IQ wasn't at the top bracket anyways. Now, for this seed to be planted in his brain, the guy would of course grasp onto it like a moth to a flame. Yes, this is feasible. Sure, Foreign will have her reputation damaged somewhat, but who cares? The Water Clan's young lord likely only had a one-night stand with this woman anyways. Otherwise, why else would he only recently recall this child being born from the outside? He probably doesn't even remember this woman, with everything considered. Suddenly, an event from 8 years ago hit the man, reaffirming his plan to make his own daughter the future lady of the Water Clan. Didn't the young lord go missing one day and then get incredibly sick afterwards? That's how his personality go through a drastic change, isn't it? That must be it. He must have met this woman during that period and got into a one-night stand. Yes, I can use this to my advantage. If the young lord is that sick, he likely won't even recognize who he slept with. If I say Foreign is the one, then who would know? Though this plan sounded far-fetched and incredibly stupid, there's been far worse things happening in this world. For example, there's been kings who had their children swapped out in ancient times, thus effectively stealing the throne right under their noses. What does it matter if a woman claims to have slept with a king at some point despite not? As for the paternity test, Tian Wind had every confidence to make it work using his own connections. A small sum payment would be more than effective in changing the DNA report. Breathtaking Deeth Song. Little young master. Tian Wind appears tied in his expression, but eventually grew firm in his next words. Since you found out, then I won't keep a secret from you. 8 years ago, it was indeed my daughter Foreign who had a one-night stand with your father. She gave birth to a son, and that son is you. PFFF. This time, not even Bai Yin could hold back herself and spurted out the tea she was sipping. Taking the offered napkin from a flirt to wipe the stain, the lady immediately showed a sarcastic smirk after regaining her composure. She couldn't wait to see how these people are going to swing the story, because it's truly enlightening. Bai Xiaoqin, on the other hand, wasn't so amused. Rather, he's stunned beyond belief. Truly, he never thought a person could be this shameless. Haven't even say that. Does he take me for a fool? You claim that the mother whom I've been with since I was born is a fake, while your daughter, who I don't even know, is my real mother? The steam bun found it hilarious just saying that, let alone believe the humor in that claim. For one thing, he was born in the other world, not here on Earth, so the idea held zero ground to stand on. Yes, after giving birth to you, Foreign became too afraid and abandoned you. She did not expect you to be picked up by this woman over there. Therefore, she's only your adoptive mother, and not your real one. Anyway, we've already offended this kid. What does it matter if we go all the way? At least we will have a sliver of hope if things work out. Dad! Tion Foreign popped her eyes in shock, not able to hold back the trembling in her body due to the anger flaring out. Her willingness to accept the sick medicine pot from the Water Clan was already a great concession on her part. Now her own dad was going to ruin her reputation. What would the others in the capital think? How was she supposed to continue living here in this city? All of these claims are nothing small. They're all very heavy-handed claims. First at getting pregnant before marriage, then discarding a baby. Little young master, Tian Wind, ignores the way his own daughter was looking at himself and continued with the farce. From the first time we saw you, Foreign already knew you were a child. The only reason she didn't come out and tell you was because she didn't want to scare you. However, I could no longer stand idly by knowing someone wants to use you to their advantage in order to get close to your father. If you don't believe me, then we can do a DNA test for clarification. The hospital will have the proof you need. As long as Bai Xiachen was willing to go to the hospital with him, then everything's set in stone. Making a false report would be a piece of cake. By then, their Tian clan would stand at the top again, with his daughter leading the helm of the Water Clan. Against that suggestion, members of the Ling family here were all beginning to go crazy. This was especially true for the old General Ling, Kai Yuan, who started to frown deeply in the face. But then just as the old grandpa wanted to lash out at the shamelessness of these uninvited bastards, a light chuckle cuts in and stops him. The laughter was taunting and full of contempt, thus resonating loudly in this quiet banquet hall who are now entirely drawn to the source of this voice, aka Bai Yin, who was sitting there holding the stomach in a laughing fit. Breathtaking deed song, too. Originally, the stares coming by Yan's way before were that of captivation and astonishment over her stunning beauty. But now, after that oral exchange, the guests are staring at her with near contempt for the lies. After all, in comparison to an unknown lady who came out of nowhere, these individuals from high society would much rather believe Tian Wen since the guy held a decent reputation in public. Xiachen, come here. Bai Yin beckons her son over with a wave. Initially, the steam bun was ready to explode like an angry lion, but after hearing his mother's words, that irate feeling promptly subsided and was replaced with a docile mood of a kitten. He toddled over so smoothly that it's difficult to imagine the lad getting angry at all. Tian Wind didn't miss this at all. Immediately, a surge of anger sprouted within the bastard's heart at the sight. What sort of drug did this fox demoness feed the little young master? How can he be so obedient to her? The guy only intended to say that inwardly to himself only, but due to his own carelessness, Tian Wind accidentally blurted this comment aloud for all to hear. Fortunately, that way of addressing someone didn't sound derogatory for the likes of the steam bun. He only found it strange, which made him furrow that little brow in confusion. Mother, why would he say you're a fox? Bai Xiachen asked his mother. Batty father, and me is clearly the fox, not you mother. Why are they calling mother a demon? It doesn't make sense. It's okay, Xiachen. Don't dwell on their wording. The word fox has several layers of meaning on Earth, so I'll explain it to you later. Also, this isn't our home, so killing in public was too bloody for these people, especially on Grandpa Kaiyuan's birthday night, which needed calm and peace instead of panic and fear. Therefore, Bai Yin didn't want to see death tonight. Otherwise, it would affect the Ling family negatively for years to come. Of course, there's no way the Demon Queen would let these people off the hook. They're going to pay, fully in fact, just that she intends to make them pay the interest only for now and leave the main dish for another suitable day. The female head, Fu Qing of the Fu clan who also came tonight, wasn't as brainless as Tian Wen though. She's always been the careful one among the 4 martial clans in this city, and did everything by proxy. Therefore, instincts told her it's better to slip away while it's still possible. Hold it, Bai Xiachen calls out after seeing the maneuvering escapee in the back. If you dare leave, then I will break your leg. Fu Qing instantly stopped in her feet. Under the pressure of the steam bun, she felt an uneasy chill running through her spines and knew she's done for this time. 10 years ago, I shouldn't have gone with the Tian clan to destroy the Bai clan. I didn't even get any benefits from that event. and now I'm going to throw my life away for someone else's business. I've said it. I'm here to exact revenge on behalf of my mother. Don't think for a second any of you are going to get off scot-free, especially the two of you who are so shameless. Baishatchin coldly says, his eyes directing to the two from the Tian clan. Just because you are stupid doesn't mean others are. I'm not blind, nor is my father. Breathtaking Deed Song 3 Baishatchin may have come only few a day ago, but even he knows the importance of public opinion in this peaceful society. They aren't going to stick around forever. Even if they don't care about their own reputation, they must still look out for Ling Lang and his family. That's what relatives and friends do. Look out for one another. Didn't you all want to know how my parents met? 8 years ago, my mother fell into someone's scheme and was drugged. In order to cure herself, she picked up my father, who was also injured at the time, and used him as an antidote. Tian Wen falters into a tremble after that bombshell of the news. That, maybe she made that up too. Baishatchin didn't care about the bastard's objection because it's not even worth acknowledging. It wasn't until 5 years later, by the time my mother and I encountered my father again. My mother knew who my father was. That's why she hid me from him. Unfortunately, I was eventually discovered by my father's subordinate and taken away. Father wanted to use me as a bargaining chip in order to make mother leave with him, but I was clearly the extra one in their relationship. My father would blackmail me on multiple occasions in order to help win mother over so she would go home with him. Bayan didn't know for certain, but she somehow got this feeling that her son had a very high level of grievance when going over the story from the past. Yin Yin, so Bairan wipes some of the tears from the corner of the eye before reaching over to hold on to Baiyan's hand. She's aching inside for not being there by her niece's side when something so tragic occurred without her knowledge. Baishatchin didn't stop, though, after laying all those details on everyone. Instead, he shifted his gaze towards Wen Shan, who was clearly showing a disgusted look. Some people, though, aren't so kind. In order to obtain power, they would sacrifice even their most intimate person. But my father is different. For my mother, he would abandon the world. Those last words only made Wen Shan snicker a sneer, as if this coward would believe in a child's claim over his own belief. If he did, then wouldn't that make him a bastard worthy of being thrown into the chopping block? Mother, Baishatchin ignores the sound coming from the coward and showed a blooming smile at Bai Yin. Father said, I am a boy, and as a boy, I must fend off anything bad at the forefront. Mother, I am actually very grateful to be born a boy instead of a girl like my little sister. When Bai Yin heard her boy's last remark, her heart actually trembled somewhat. She didn't know it before, but it's clear her son had a lot of grievances due to her lack of attentiveness. As compensation, she reaches out to caress his little head for comfort. Still smiling in the face, the steam bun continues while being patted. Because only as a boy will father be as strict with me. He can be so tolerant with my little sister. Bai Yin, is he happy or complaining? As a boy, I can assume the responsibility of protecting my mother and little sister. All right, this bad person wouldn't try to claim Jin Tian and Ling Yin is also born of someone else, would he? The steam bun asks his mother after making a glance at Tian Wind. Breathtaking Di Song 4 Bairan appears taken aback after hearing there's more. Yin Yin, you still have other kids? Why didn't you bring them along for me to see? I'm sorry, Aunt, but they're too young to travel still. Right now, they're being taken care of by my husband's people. Tian Wind felt like his head spinning at this point as well. The little young master has other siblings? Why haven't I heard anything? Huh. But unlike the surprise felt by others, when Fei Fei, the stepsister, decides to cut in with her snarling laugh, you expect everyone to believe that lie just because you say there are other kids? Who's going to believe your farce at a time like this? Fei Fei. When Shan urgently pulled the girl back to make her stop, this is the Tian clan's fight. Don't speak out when you're not asked to. As expected, the lass immediately got all red in the face after being reprimanded. In light of the embarrassment, she didn't stop glaring at her half-sister, who remains unfazed at the accusation. For when Fei Fei, she just couldn't get used to Bai Yan's way of speaking and found it arrogant and hypocritical. It's obvious she's obsessed with Tian Wind's accusation and wanted it to be true. Suddenly, the ringing of a cell phone broke the tenseness in the air. Tion Wind was the first to react, hurrying to answer his phone since it came from him. Hello, brother. What? The young lord is coming to the capital? You're also with him? He also wants to see foreign? Are you serious? Yes, right. We're at the Ling household's mansion right now. Today is Ling Kaiyuan's birthday. The brother mentioned would of course be the man's brother-in-law, who was recently dismissed from the Water Clan. Therefore, it's no wonder why the guy would be so surprised and joyful to hear they're coming to the city and together with Deet Song at that. Foreign, the Water Clan's young master is coming. Haha, he also wants to meet you. From what your uncle said, he's likely here to marry you. If his daughter becomes the young lord's woman, then what does it matter if there's a son? My daughter can produce plenty of children in place of this rut. When Shan took this as his signal to act as well, turning to Bai Yin to speak in his harshest voice. Yin Yin, are you still not going to admit your mistake? Don't forget the blood in your vein is that of Maiwan clans. Do you want to drag me down with you? Still indifferent in the eyes, Bai Yin turns to the coward in question. So you're implying you're going to abandon me like how you abandoned my mother? Wen Shan's face promptly changed for the worst, his fist clenching into a ball. Truthfully speaking, even if Bai Yin did repeatedly went against his will, the coward would still give her a chance since she's his own daughter. But that's no longer possible in his opinion. After all, the ones getting involved has upgraded to the Water Clan. Yin Yin, as long as you admit your mistake and personally explain to this child about his biological mother being foreign, then, only then will I forgive you. Mother, is this man stupid? Bai Xiaochen asks, as he moved closer back to his mother's side. He's behaving like Wen Shan's stupidity would be contagious. Do you want me to teach him the good lesson? Breathtaking Deed Song 5, Wen Shan's instantly flew into a raging shout. I am your grandfather. Grandpa. Bai Xiaochen rolls his little eye. My grandfather is Yin Feng. Don't go making connections on your own. I'm not as stupid as you. It's only the Tian clan who's spouting all these stuffs, as if he would believe his batty father would like that Tian foreign. He must be brain dead to be that gullible. In response, Wen Shen only showed a confused face. Yin Feng? Who is that? How come I never heard of such a person? All right, fine. Since you won't listen to my advice, then I won't recognize you as my daughter anymore. From this point forward, I am disowning you as my daughter. I gave her a chance, and she did not cherish it. In that case, no one can ever blame me for giving up on her. Yin Yin. Bai Ran suddenly intervenes and reached out to hold onto his niece's hand. Turning around to face the old general, she appears exhausted as she kneeled to make a kowtow. Dad, this will have to be my last time calling you Dad. In the future, you need to take care of your own body. That said, the lady bursts into tears like something bad was about to occur. Ran, what are you doing? Ling Kaiyuan became shocked by the suddenness of this behavior and shot his own son a look to move it. What are you standing around for? Hurry and go help your wife up. Ling Yun was just as shocked there, so it took a moment for the husband to respond. However, he didn't hold back once he did in helping his wife up. Ling Yun, divorce, we're divorcing. Trembling all over, Bai Ran forces this sentence out with those pale white lips, losing all the color from his face as well. Ling Yun stammers his reply. What did you say? You're going to divorce me? Mom, the flirt exclaims, also shocked by what he's hearing from out of the blue. Of the Ling family, the daughter Smile was among the smallest, so she didn't hold back and openly cried, Don't divorce, I don't want you two to divorce. Dad, Ling Yun, Ling Lang, Smile, 10 years ago when my parents and sister died, I couldn't accompany them or even offer my prayers during their funeral. It wasn't until my body recovered when I finally got to go back. By then, Yin had already gone missing. I don't know how much suffering she endured during her time away, but I can no longer turn my back on her and look the other way. Growing stern in her eyes, Bai Ran found incredible strength in what she's going to do. Now's my chance to make up for my own inability. I don't want to drag the Ling household down with me, so I asked for a divorce. Bai Ran. Ling Yun grew angry. I don't object to your wish of protecting Yin Yin, but I am not like Wen Shan, who is a coward. What's more, my position is already that of a general. Even that Water Clan must watch themselves lest they want to declare war on the entire country. No, it's not the same. The Water Clan is too scary. I don't get it. They're really that terrifying. Byran didn't have the same opinion and shot her husband's idea down. If there was any other way, I wouldn't. So you're determined to protect Yin Yin? Ling Yin looks down at his crying wife and asks again using that deep, strong voice while holding the woman's shoulder. Nodding with pursed lips, I wronged my parents, I wronged my sister, and I wronged the entire Bai clan for not being there during that crisis. My older sister has always been very kind to me, so I can't ignore the fact that my niece is in danger. Okay. Ling Yun's hand loosens like he's also come to a decision. Wen Shan watched on with pleasure and sneered at this humorous scene. He believes Ling Yun has decided to abandon his own wife like he did in the past, thus giving this coward a triumphant sensation. However, he thought wrong. Ran, we are husband and wife. Whatever you decide is what I will decide. I'm going to ask my dad to expel me as well if that's what you've decided. Originally still gloating in the face, Wen Shan's expression instantly took a 180 turn into a frozen popsicle. Breathtaking deed song 6. He's planning to die with his wife. Why? Does he not care about his own life? Outrageous. Ling Keyuan's angry old face had turned green now as he slammed the table. One of you is demanding a divorce, and the other is saying he's going to leave? Do you two still have me in your eyes? Neither of you are allowed to go. Yin Yin too, you're staying as well. If Bai Yin says she's not shocked by the strong aura coming off of the old grandpa, then she's lying. As a child, Wen Shan did not like it when they visited the secular world. Therefore, she rarely got to meet her relatives in the city. For that fact, Bai Yin didn't have much of an impression regarding this aunt and her family. However, Bai Ran's decision to stand with her to the bitter end has moved the Demon Queen. Truly, it did. They all did. Sister Bai Yin, he also pulls on Bai Yan's sleeve. I don't want to go either. I want to be with you. I am not afraid of anything. As long as you are there, then, I have no fear. Grandpa Ling Yin, why are you like this when Shan too? Bai Xiaqin's childish voice breaks the heavy mood. Why are you all believing what he says? My father will only love my mother in this life. If you don't believe it, then you can ask my father yourself. It's exactly then. A powerful aura swept over from the pitch-black darkness of the night, catching everyone's attention despite not being able to verify who has arrived. Bai Yin was the first to locate its source. In that moment, a beautiful and handsome face reflected into her eyes. Though the man's appearance has changed, but the Demon Queen would never mistake her husband's iconic air. Deedsong's very existence exuded the dominance of a king, an arrogant king, but also powerful to the point it's suffocating. It's he who has arrived at the banquet hall's entrance, and it's he who drew the focus of all. Tian Foreign was no different, of course, in this regard. Like all the females in this hall, she's currently eyeing the man with love-shot eyes. So this is the Water Clan's young lord? He looks so handsome. He's nothing like the medicine pot portrayed by those rumors. Involuntarily walking forward a few steps, the ignorant lass nervously places her hands on the chest like a maiden who just experienced the first spring. Deetsong didn't care about the unimportant like he always does in this case. He only wanted to get to his wife, who was clearly nearby. However, what the Demon King didn't realize was that his dismissal of others had directly brought himself before Tian Foreign, who stepped in front of him. To make matters even weirder, Deetsong didn't come alone. He also brought the Water Clan's former housekeeper Yu ran along. Without saying anything, the Demon King pushes his peasant of a servant forward and steps on his ankle, thus causing the poor guy to kneel before everyone. Tian Foreign didn't get this, of course, on why there's third person between herself and the man of her dream. But the lass didn't have time to think, though, for that charming smile was all that she cared for. OMG, how can anyone be this handsome? I'm going to die. I'm going to die. My heart. My heart. He's smiling at me. Lo, Lord. Tian Foreign finally pulls her fanciful heart together. My uncle already told me why you are here. I'm willing to marry you. I don't mind your health being poor. Bang. Unfortunately for the love-struck girl, her words never got to finish in that moment. Why? Because the man in front suddenly kicked her across the chest and sent the girl flying into the dining table where all the food was placed. Naturally, the utensils and dishes came crashing down, But the hardest hit would be the pride of the one called Tion Foreign. What just happened? Why did he kick me? You're blocking my way, eyesore. Deet Song's anger won. The man's wording was cold, ruthless, and bone-chilling like the devil itself. As a result of this, the temperature in the room promptly fell a few notches down and causes everyone to shiver out of instinct. This would be especially true for Tion Foreign, who had curled into a ball after being knocked away, her eyes staring nervously at her own uncle. Unfortunately for the last, though, Yuran, the former housekeeper, could hardly worry about his own niece right now. He just suffered a stomp on his ankle and wanted to howl in pain. However, he would never dare lose himself before Deet Song. That would be suicidal. Deet Song ignored the deafening silence which he caused, only quickly coming before the seated woman that was his wife, who made him dream of this moment for years. Yin Yin, his voice low and hoarse, full of magnetic attraction. I miss you so much. That's all Bai Yin needed to hear in order to make her body melt into a soft, mellowing mush of softness. Without thought, the lady gradually places her hand and leans in on that chest. He misses me, but does he think I don't miss him? Fortunately, he came to see me. Batty father, you're finally here. Bai Xiaoqin smiles brightly as he tugged at Deet Song's sleeve. Only noticing there's another small steam bun around, the man says the most damning thing. Oh, also here? Bai Xiaoqin, does Batty father only realize I'm here now? How insignificant am I? Am I your own child? Or did you pick me up from the streets? The boy protests with incomparable grievance in his voice. Batty father clearly knows I'm the one who found mother, yet he can ignore me so thoroughly. It must be because I'm picked off from the streets. I do hope you were picked up from the street. That way you won't be able to compete with me for your mother's attention. Bai Xiaoqin became speechless, his eyes staring incredulously at his old man. Despite the silence, everyone and anyone would be able to feel the grievance in the child's heart. They almost wanted to cry for him since it's so heartbreaking. This son, is he really biological? Which father out there would worry about their own child competing with himself for the wife's attention? Batty father. Bai Xiaoqin eventually shifts to the curled-up girl that's trying to hide her own existence after coming with a plan for payback. He's a sly fox, so he's going to act like one. You asked to meet Tion Foreign, did you not? They say you were planning to make her your woman. Don't you think you should give mother an explanation for this? Tion Foreign? Deet Song frowns, his voice gradually coming forward like he found it bothersome. Who is the one in this room? Come out. That said, the Demon King releases his grasp around Bai Yan's hand and scanned the room with his cold, hard eyes. Originally, the girl in question had wanted to speak up at being called, but that idea was instantly sapped out of Tion Foreign's body once she met those eyes. It's too terrifying and obvious enough that it's not a good thing. Foreign, Yuran, the housekeeper, saw this and hastened to signal the niece. Unlike everyone else, this former housekeeper of the Water Clan knows hiding would only make the matter worse. You're Tion Foreign? Deet Song followed Yuran's gaze and eventually locked onto the very girl he kicked away. A while ago, you came to make trouble for my son. I naturally have to make sure you're here as well. That way I can dispose of you all at once. Boom! Deet Song's words were like a thunderbolt raining down above their heads. Tion Wind, who was still arrogant and proud at the man's arrival, had gone green, until his face eventually turned to a deathly white of despair. The young lord only asked for Tion Foreign to punish her. Why didn't Yuran say it clearly at the time? That way it won't cause such a misunderstanding, compared with the despair of the fool who wanted to betroth his own daughter to the Demon King, when Sean only had a deep gash of regret cutting through his stomach. He's trembling with guilt when facing Bai Yin, who's indifferent to his stare. Deet Song's anger, too. Bai Yin naturally knew when Sean wanted him that look. However, her own eyes only spelled cold, hard hostility. Grandpa Ling, she then turns to the old general. I'm sorry to have turned your birthday banquet into this, but could you have the guests leave first? Ling Kaiyuan immediately pulled back from his shock and nodded. Ling Yun, go ahead and send our guests away. Also, everyone, I would like this event to be kept a secret. I hope you all understand. The guests appeared sluggish at first, but eventually got it anyways. They are not low in terms of status either, and are accustomed to big events. but today's twists and turns had gone beyond their comprehension. Even so, it doesn't change their look of contempt towards Tion Wind, who made himself to be the biggest fool here tonight. What's this absurd lie about the child's mother being a fake? What's this about Tion Foreign being the real birth bearer? The own child's father has arrived to disprove such a claim. And the One Clan as well, they're nothing good either. Regarding Winshan, they have mostly pieced together the whole story. In order to save his own hide, the coward would abandon this daughter and even side with the foe. They say a tiger wouldn't harm their own pup. In this case, such a saying holds untrue. Bang! Bending his knee, the coward hugged his head against the ground and cried, "I was wrong. I am wrong, Yin Yin. Please forgive me. I did give you a decade of love. That isn't fake, right?" Still unmoved in her seat with that smirk. "You weren't saying that when you gave up on my mother and me, why should I save you? Yin Yin, I'm your father. How can you be so cold-hearted? I really know my fault. Can you please forgive me?" Winshan's face showed all the features of a guilty one. The typical behavior he's become accustomed to when his life's on the line. Getting hard in her voice now. "If you do not want to die, then shut up. I'll settle the matter with you afterwards. First is the Tion clan. It's time they pay for their debt." This holler promptly shuts the coward up. He could see the killing intent in his former daughter's eye. And for that, he's scared. "Batty father." By Xiaochen smiles innocently. "Tion Foreign not only made trouble for me before, her old man also said mother is not the one who gave birth to me and insisted I'm wrong for not believing them. These people are so funny, as if I wouldn't know who gave birth to me. They must be quite slow in the head or something." Without surprise, Ditsong's eyes narrowed in at this news like a predator finding its prey. He's not concerned about them bullying his child. Rather, he's mad that they would insult his wife. I didn't make trouble for the little young master. I only went to seek an audience that day." Tion Foreign crawls backward in a panic after blurting this out. "Because the last time you grossed me out, that's how you made trouble for me." The steam bun shrugs, not caring in the least about the excuse. "Did you really not connect the dots when my father removed your uncle from his post right after the event that day? And now you still have the nerve to come make trouble for my mother?" Ditsong's anger. 3. That matter can be kept to another time. Ditsong slowly comes before Tion Wind, who is now cowering in fear. "First, I want to know, when did my wife become an imposter for my own child? How come I didn't know this?" Lord, you lost your memory 8 years ago. That's why." The bastard gulped, his throat itching from a dryness he couldn't describe. "Maybe this is my last hope. If I can swing this detail to my own advantage, then I can still push Foreign to this man's side." Unfortunately for this bastard, though, Tion Wind never got to finish his next words when an amused laugh cuts him off. "Apparently my coming has been late. That's why you're so daring. Yin is my heart, the lifeblood of my existence. How dare you have others impersonate her?" Swoosh! The mighty aura unique to the demon body promptly explodes out of the man's body, causing those in the banquet hall to shiver in appalling fear. For Tion Wind, who's the main recipient of this force, he's suffering the most, of course. It's like a mountain was pressing down against his body, causing the guy to collapse onto the ground and curl up into a fetal position, his face distorting from pain. "Years ago, you used the name of the Water Clan to move against the Bai Clan and kill my mother-in-law. For the pain you've caused to my wife, I today will let you experience a pain worse than death." Tion Wind continued to cry out in agony, oblivious to the judgment given to his own head. It's just too painful. Not only does the bastard feel like he's being stabbed by multiple swords at once, the guy also felt the strength gradually leaving his body through the dantian. Gosh! The pain subsided in that instant where his internal core shattered, but the price was his strength leaving him for good. Tion Wind understood. He's no different from a cripple without his internal core as a martial artist, but that's not a problem. In this modern age of Earth, a commoner could still live a prosperous life, and for that he's thankful and felt lucky in this. Unfortunately for this bastard, though, Ditsong clearly had other plans in mind, because the Demon King suddenly stomped down at his chest and made him spew even more blood from the mouth. This man, he doesn't intend to let me go just because I've lost my strength. Dad! Tion Foreign cries out in a panic, rushing over to help her father up with tears flowing out. Dad, are you all right? But before the guy could answer, Deetsong's next maneuver completely cuts him out. This time the attack wasn't a simple stomp anymore. Rather, it's a direct palm strike from the Demon King at Tion Win's chest. For that hit, a visible dent could be seen across the guy's chest like it just collapsed. It's clear as day to everyone that he's going to suffer miserably even if he survives. The lass fell into a shell-shocked state at her father's horrific condition. Cusping her mouth, no sound could come forward as she wept. Only tears slowly streaking down the corner of those eyes until she eventually turned around. Lord, please let my father go. As long as you spare him, I am willing to service you for the rest of my life. Please. In light of his heartfelt plea, Deetsong didn't care. Raising his hand again, Tion Foreign's whole figure promptly flew up into the air before crashing down like a rock. The lass could feel her bones making a cracking sound, bordering on the line of shattering if more force was used. It's not that Tion Foreign was overestimating her own beauty in this case by using her own body as leverage. Instead, she's always gotten her way when she teared up before the other sex over the years. It's technically her killer move to win men over, which was her last hope tonight. Wen Fei was scared silly by this point, as well after witnessing what has befallen the two from the Tian clan. She may be the stepsister of Bai Yin, but there's no delusion in this girl about getting mercy from such a heartless and cold demon like that young lord from the Water Clan.